What's up, gentlemen? How are we doing?
Hang on, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, but let's go.
How we doing, boys?
I mean, I've been better. That's for damn sure.
The cone of shame looks just beautiful on you.
It really accentuates how giant my head is. So that's nice.
I do love it. Did y'all have fun? You just came back from playing volleyball? Y'all have a good time?
Yeah, so this week was pretty good. We won a little 3-0, had some laughs along the way.
Hell yeah. Nice. Is it nice to have a life and not just be stewing about FPL for the last few hours, spiraling into the abyss?
Yep. If I wasn't doing that, I probably would have been playing on my phone with an absurd amount of teams, similar to how Max sends them to us.
I kind of just wish I could have played on FPL. I had things to look at.
I don't think so. I think I should label myself Overthinker FC because shit is... I was so confident earlier this week. The group chat's been popping off. We've been talking a lot about like what our plans might be, where we might go. I was so confident in being like, I don't think this is a wild card week, and suddenly I'm looking at wild carding. So we've gone full circle. We've gone full circle. This is the Wanks FPL Podcast. We are going to be talking to you guys about to wild card or not to wild card. Mac has already pulled the button. Pushed the button. He is on wild card 6. Sharp and I are on the fence, ? We're both also considering the triple captainship. There's a lot to think about, especially like if last week we all marked it as the planning week. This is the fucking planning week. This is the week where shit hits the fan because you kind of have to make a decision on where you're going. But Sharp, where are you at? What's the latest?
No, the worst part about it is I felt like last week made it worse for me. Like I thought I had a plan fully in place. I tweeted out my next, I think, 5 or so game week plans to an extent, 4 maybe. And then when I was thinking about bench boosting later in the season, and right now, toss it up in the air. I mean, really, the thing that's killing me is the Holland might not play because
I don't buy it.
I'll save that. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I mean, you got Pep laughing about the opponent they have, so I don't know.
I think this is just Pep fucking around. Like the video of him actually saying that, oh, he's got a little back problem. Like he couldn't keep it together how he was trying not to laugh. I feel like this is just one of those things where he's trying to throw off whoever is the opposition, whoever you want. But I'm really like, there's a 5% chance of,
he's throwing me off is what he's doing.
But I think there's genuinely a 5% chance that we see Holland not start. And I even think his minutes being managed, like, I think it'll be fine. I'm really not too worried about it, but there's a lot of like, that's something I'm noticing, especially in the FPL community. Welcome to having a Twitter on this. I don't know how you guys didn't do that last year. That's insane. But
it's no coincidence that the only year I haven't had a Twitter in my FPL career, I did the worst I've ever done.
But it's a lot of fear mongering. It's a lot of like people just being like, well, what if? So because have you noticed that if this, then that? And then it's just like, I mean, that's what put me off of going with Joe Pedro in Free Hit 4 was this whole thing of him coming back from South America and he wasn't going to start and all this stuff. And I was looking at Harvey Barnes had a baby and I was like, oh shit, well maybe he's not going to play. Like there's just like so many layers to this shit you can go down that you have to start kind of discerning what's real and what's fake. And that is hard as fuck to do. And I'm getting annoyed with it because
it's like great for information, but it's too much information.
Right.
Not to mention,
go ahead.
I think it comes down to people like us that are trying to spew content out there and need to get the clicks, right? So you got to keep churning something out so then people keep reading it. Yeah. But honestly, last year, I was way better off in the first half of the season with no Twitter, not paying attention, and riding the vibes. So I think it's thrown off the mojo.
Shut it down. Shut down the Twitter. Fake news. Yeah, that's definitely part of
I've taken too much Tylenol. I think that's the problem.
That could be it. So that's definitely part of it. But I do think also like rotation is just a real thing right now. Mac, this is where like, I haven't been consistently watching soccer since I was 12. It's only been the past couple of years. It feels like they're playing more, right? You have the Club World Cup, you have the Carabao Cup, you have the FA Cup, you have the EFL Cup, you have like all this shit. It's like suddenly all these guys are playing so much. So many people are in European football. There's very few teams where you look at, okay, I want players from that squad who are not playing in Europe and are just every week able to churn out some points. Like there's an element of, to your point, Sharp, I'm sure a lot of it's overblown, but at the same time, like I think the reason Haaland's getting these rests is because he's been playing so much and they're just like, we need to give him a little bit of a break. But
it's fun watching you tap into long-standing narratives within the soccer community independently. Like everybody has been saying that there's too many games, including the players' unions. Like,
oh, it's fucked. I mean, like watching it, even as like fans of other sports, like they get significant time off in the off season. And this year, especially with the Club World Cup, I was like, holy shit, they're playing. And already like this season, like us playing this, by the time I got to Gameweek 38 last year, I was like, oh, I'm exhausted. Imagine being a player. Like this is a fucking long season.
It's been this like brutal stack since COVID, basically, where everything got delayed or canceled or pushed back. So then it was like Euro 2020 was Euros 2021. Then it was like 22 World Cup, and I know that was in the winter, but mid-season World Cup's never great. Huge load.
Massive load.
Last summer, Club World Cup, which like doesn't affect all teams, but it does. Yeah, it's just way late.
Yeah, Club World Cup probably playing in that, right?
Right. Well, it doesn't affect all teams, but I guess the main criticism I have is that it does affect the top teams, and I like want to see a better quality, right? Like,
well, and from an FPL perspective, like that's the soccer perspective, but then from an FPL perspective, you're not picking players from the shitty teams. You're picking players from the top teams, so you're getting fucked. So, like
double whammy.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about that beautiful hat that you're wearing, Sharp, and just talk some game weeks. Why don't we talk through game week 5, how things went down? Mac, king of the game week. I guess we can start with you. I have your game week 5 team here. If you want to talk through the 40, none of us did well. The fact that a 43 pointer, a game week rank of 5.5 million is the best of us three means it was a rough one. But yours wasn't the roughest.
Did you guys free hit this week, or was that 2 weeks ago? I'm losing my mind.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
If you beat us on a free hit, I would do some neck rope for sure.
I was really hoping I was. That would have been peak comedy, but my team wasn't very good. Actually, seeing my team on paper right now just makes me want to hurl. I am so glad I wildcarded. This is unreal how much I despise this team. Yeah, Sanchez.
Yeah, what a fucking loser.
Anything to say there? Like, I can't believe that he gets penalized when he's not on the field for future goals. I'm
so glad that you also had that perspective. I was like, that makes does that happen to defenders too? If they get a red and they get sent off? Like
every year, some defender or something scores like 4 own goals in a game and gets like a negative score. But I've been lucky enough to avoid the negative scores in most of my FPL careers. This is my first time like being involved in this tragedy. That's a little different than your question, but like, yeah, I mean, that was just crazy. He was off and he was like losing points, and I was like, well, he hasn't been playing since the 6th minute. Isn't the -2 points punishment enough?
Unbelievable, absolutely
Honestly,
brutal.
That was such a dumbass move that I think you should get punished another week. I'm just mad at it.
Well, I mean, he does technically. It's just that he served his suspension in the cup game or whatever.
I think that's crazy, by the way. Purely from a soccer perspective, I don't know why you can serve your suspension across competitions. You know, he committed a foul in the Premier League. Is it not putting whoever Chelsea play next at a disadvantage? I'm going to get off my high horse any second. No, it's a lie. But
I mean, yeah, I think that's fair. I'm sure the argument would be that if it's probably only if you're playing in a cup competition that specifically includes Prem squads. Like if it was a Champions League, I'm sure that doesn't count. But
I don't know. But I mean, you have it the flip way, right? With Ekatike this week.
Yeah, exactly.
My dude decided to strip on field, so now he's suspended.
Well, and I think like, yeah, that one was fucking hilarious. It's also like, what are you celebrating, bro? Like he must be really, really feeling that hot breath on the back of his neck from having Isak in the squad because he was like, he's ready to go. Isak
scored earlier in the game too, so I'm sure he was feeling it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely brutal. Glad not to own Ekatike, although I was laughing at. He's the best pick. He's like the best forward pick by far so far this season. And it's just that everyone had to avoid him. It's such a funny world we live in.
It's such a bummer because he's like doing great.
Yeah. Anyway, on the Sanchez front, like not only was it a boneheaded move, but Maresca came out and said it was a boneheaded move. So obviously we can get to my team at a different time, but like going into this week, I was like, oh, I don't need to make any transfers. And then suddenly I had like 5 things. I was like, shit, I need to do all this stuff. And one of them that I was considering was, all right, is Sanchez going to lose his spot now? Because Maresca, like it already felt like he was on shaky ground going into the season, Sanchez. And then Maresca was basically like, what a fucking idiot. I don't know why he did that. Super stupid. And that comes off the back of him talking about how there was going to be rotation in the Prem between him and Jorgensen, whoever is his backup. So I don't know. I was sitting there being like, fuck, should I just go to Raya right now? Anyway, obviously you're wild carding Mac, but Sharp, has that crossed your mind at all?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think that's been the main consideration for me to wild card. The rest of it, I feel confident enough to wait another week. But my goalie situation, because I have Sanchez and I have Dubravka like everyone else. And obviously with Burnley playing City, I'm like, well, Dubravka is a non-option. I mean, maybe he gets save points, but he's going to give up more than 1 goal and start going backwards. So, certainly worry.
That was a worry for me. The saving grace of it is, yes, if Sanchez doesn't play this weekend, it's a problem for sure. Yep. But, you had the other goalie playing midweek. He'll play this weekend in theory. So then I was thinking kind of long-term of even him saying, okay, he's going to rotate. Is he going to rotate in a game like against, Sunderland or some shit? Is that still a team in the Prem? But I realized that the games...
That's insulting to them when West Ham and Wolves exist in the same league.
I always get Sunderland and Southampton confused. They're same colors and both.
No, Southampton you're allowed to have no respect for.
Good to know. But I think the weeks when I was looking through Sanchez's fixtures and seeing like when he was going to get rotated, ironically, Dubravka has good fixtures. He plays like Leeds and somebody else that I was like, oh, okay, low-key, even if Sanchez does get rotated in the future, I'm okay. So that calmed me down from that perspective, but there are other transfers that I need to make.
I should really... That was not what I meant to say at all. I was really surprised that Chelsea didn't go in for Donnarumma when he was available, because it's like the team that buys everybody isn't going to go for somebody in the one position that they really need. Because I don't think anyone thought Sanchez was good when he was at Brighton. Everyone was like surprised when he went to Chelsea. Like, he's okay, I guess, but he's not a Chelsea starting goalkeeper. And then
it does just seem like his IQ isn't super high. Like, I don't think he'd do well in a standardized test.
That's
and that's
can we say that?
Is that
maybe gonna go on record.
Yeah. Could be canceled on that one. Anyway, keep. We've been staring at your team long enough. Keep going through. I mean, you're not celebrating enough. I feel like this is your first dub of the season for the squad.
I mean, first non-L of the season, right?
That's one way to say it.
Like first time not in third.
Is that right?
Might be accurate. because we didn't have the hat for the first 2 weeks.
I think you were in third the first 2 weeks too.
Yeah, no, I think that's right.
Brutal.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, that then transitions nicely into looking at this squad and talking about a wild card.
Yeah. So okay, I'll run through the rest of my team now. Anderson has been the GOAT of the season. I really like him. He's getting a lot of DEFCONs, and Fulham's been really stout defensively, so I was happy there. LaCroix, no clean sheet. It's a bummer. And then Pedro Porro, obviously, in the Brighton game. I was flabbergasted at the odds being like, you should absolutely be playing Dubravka over Sanchez this week. And I was like, that's just crazy to me. And oh my God, I've never been punished harder for that. They were so right. Semenyo, amazing. 7.7 mil now, which is crazy.
Unreal. Yeah. I think I think he might be 7.8. I'll check, but he's gone
rising every night. It's nuts. Salah, Anderson, Fernandez, let's go. Decent, like actually a good game from the midfield, and Anderson finally got DEFCONs. It's an unreal situation. Watkins, João Pedro, blank, and then Mateta finally scored, so it was good. And then you look at the bench and you're like, oh my God, he's fucked. He's absolutely fucked.
I mean, a lot of blanks, but a lot of people had blanks. It's funny. We came off of game week 5 where everybody and their mother had a clean sheet, or no, game week 4. And this is game week 5. We came off game week 4 where everybody and their mother had a clean sheet. And then this week, 2 teams kept it clean or something like that? It was ridiculous. So
yeah, I mean, it was statistically unlikely that it continued, but what a rebound. And then also just the fact that I won this week on 43 points is just disgusting. I remember 2 years ago, opening week, I was over 100. And I'm like, that might be like half my points this entire season right now.
No, and it's just like, it also plays into this narrative that has not stopped yet this season, where no attackers are like just firing and popping off. It's just weird. It's a really, really weird time. All right, let's go into Sharp's team.
Yeah, sick. I mean, honestly, I feel Sanchez's everything that could have gone wrong on Sunday went wrong, essentially, for me. And I'm looking at Reindeers on my bench. He doesn't even get Rudolph anymore. He just gets mispronounced.
He gets Dasher.
Yeah.
Or some shit. Yeah.
No, he gets Prancer is who he gets. But I mean that City game couldn't have gone worse for me, from a Hollins doing what he did, and obviously Rudolph doing well. So that was unfortunate. And unfortunately, he was on my bench. And I was with Mac. We had that conversation about Sanchez versus Dubravka and seeing everyone go Dubravka. And I'm like, you guys are all fools. Like, why are we doing that? And then he had to go improve why he was doing that.
To be fair, the swing should have been 2 points, not 7.
Correct.
So,
correct.
That was
or 3 points, whatever.
I mean, his action then screwed. Obviously, Bruno had a great game partially because of that, whatever.
It's a nonsense game, like to your I know
it is because
Bumo
Bumo gets screwed, João Pedro gets screwed because they're playing down a man for a lot of the game until United decided to be stupid too.
Yeah, they just pulled off Estabao immediately, and it was like, all right, crazy.
It was really funny too. Like, so I was out for the beginning of the game, so I get in my car. I had just played soccer, and I get in my car and I throw on the game. And so I'm a little late, and I literally turn it on, and within seconds they're like, and Sanchez is being set off with a red card. And I started this is at that point I'm on 7 points or whatever the fuck. And I'm just laughing out loud to myself, being like, this is unbelievable.
It was all time watching you all weekend just start at 7 points and literally until the City game
going down. I was like, this is no, it was like, I was getting, anyway, we can get to my team.
There's a genuine chance you came into this call with 7 points and it would have been so
crazy,
funny.
So wild. Yeah.
No, I mean, the rest of the team, Van Dijk, I've talked about all season. DEFCON's happy about it. Not mad. Would have been nice if Gabriel could have gotten a clean sheet, and I think he got significantly less DEFCONs with Saliba back. So that's something that I'm definitely going to note and pay attention to, especially going into a future wildcard week of what Arsenal defense I want. Milinkovic, I mean, Forrest in general, both him would just straight disappointing, and that's been the case for the past few game weeks. I don't think anyone feels any differently on that. I mean, I love Kudus. Kudos to him. Happy he's here. Salah been happy with. And Ndai, I mean, I made great 6.5 mil picks in the midfield. Like
They've been
bargain
consistent.
picks
Both
there.
of them.
I've been very happy with those. So we can talk when we get to our future game or future teams. Thankfully, I feel like I was set up, but with it feels like everyone wildcarding into players that I was targeting 2 weeks later. It's going to be interesting to see how the team value plays out.
Yeah. I know we were talking about team value last night. Where are you at, Sharp?
I'm still sitting at 190. I have a 99.8 team value and then 0.2 in the bank. So
yeah, okay.
I'm at 99.9 which is better than I thought, considering I had Tielemans and Watkins in my team.
I don't know how mine dropped so far. Like,
wait, hold on. Wait. Mac, are you quoting your fake number? Or are you quoting?
Oh, I'm sorry. The objective and weighted way to look at this. My bad.
I mean, but I don't understand. Genuinely, what is that? What does the number mean? Like, if you look at your team and it says, here's your, like, what does that mean? I don't understand what that actually signifies.
Great question. Who knows? It's
so
just
not the objective weighted number.
It's just consistent because they remove team value when you make transfers of your own players. So it's like your guys are talking in terms of your purchasing power, but I think they're talking about like, I think the other metric is like, how have you performed against the season?
I don't understand, but I won't pretend to.
I'm going to make a separate video explaining team value for you guys.
Okay. All right. Well,
I would like the last shout out to my team is that I don't need that team of the week emblem up there because there's not a single player on this team that made team of the week.
That's actually crazy. Holy cow.
I'm curious what the team of the week was. It's got to be a weird one, but
how many points was it too?
I can look.
I don't know. Bruno had it because
120 points.
120 points. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a crazy team.
No chip played, but yeah, just wild. Isidore, Calvert-Lewin, Anthony, Iwobi, Stock, Gravenberg, Maguire, Cash, Williams, Pope. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Not bothered. All right, moving on to my team. Sharp, do you see that score? See how it's just like a little bit bigger than yours?
I see one man that I need to be worried about.
I'm really trying to push this one in because I was laughing out loud Saturday night when I'm out and Sharp is commenting my team into FPL disastrous replies, being like, "This guy fucking sucks," blah blah blah. So normally I'd be a little bit more humble, but I think I'm gonna rub this one in for a bit. I'm loving that cone on you, man. It looks great. It looks great.
Yeah.
But
hey, rubbing your 7.8 million game week rank. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys were
absolutely
me
bigger
for
than
5.
yours. Bigger than yours. Yeah. So this team is again laughably hilarious. Started laughing with Sanchez and his red card. Started laughing with Cunha not starting. Dewsbury Hall with 1 point. No clean sheets in the back end. Palmer gets subbed off after like 20 minutes. At first, I was like, oh, it's just tactical. And obviously now we learn that he's just fully injured. Chris Wood with another blank despite a great fixture. And Ollie Watkins is just the same old shit. Morello didn't play either. But yeah, was ultimately completely saved by Holland and Reinders in the last game of the week. Reinders was my auto sub for Morello. So cheers to Rudolph. We will take that.
Yeah.
So annoying.
See, that's bullshit because you were as dumb as me. You had him on the bench too, and then you just get a little.
Oh, but I knew there was a good chance Morello missed out. Like it was intentional that he was first sub on my bench. I knew there was a good chance.
Yeah,
You're
it
right,
was intentional. He was my first sub too. Like what?
Yeah, but you didn't have. Did you have Morello in?
No, I'm just saying you had him on your bench and I had him on my bench, and you get rewarded. I'm mad about it.
Fair enough.
I do wish you would like not get lucky for once, like all last year too. I was like, come on. Like,
well, we're gonna take it this time around. I did. I mean, to be fair, yeah. Like I was between Dewsbury Hall and Reinders to play this week, and ultimately was just looking. Like I thought it was really close, coin flipping it, and was ultimately just looking at like Liverpool's defense. I feel like I'm not scared of Liverpool's defense. I feel like the kid from Home Alone looking at the furnace, being like, I'm not scared of you anymore. But that's how I feel towards Liverpool's defense. Arsenal, on the other hand, I was a little bit more nervous about. I kind of wanted to cover my bases as I was captaining Holland. But yeah, to that point, also thought, there's a good chance Morello misses out. So my thought process was either he's going to play 90 minutes or he's not going to play at all. I don't think they'll play him for like a half. So anyway, yeah, definitely lucky. Definitely worked out. And looking at this team going into this week on paper, I was like, oh, this is fucking stellar. I've got Palmer, who's going to be, a little bit of a differential because not a lot of people own him. He's playing Brentford. I've got Holland with a great fixture. I've got Reinders already. I don't have to make any moves for that. Got, both my Forest boys against Sunderland for the last week. I'm going to hold them. If I was thinking already last week, penciling in getting Watkins out of here and going for João Pedro because he's just shit anyway. And turns out I was right about that. But everything looks great on paper, and suddenly I'm being like, fuck. I actually might be in a little bit of trouble here.
It's
the Palmer injury crushed.
You don't have Semenyo. I'm sorry, I totally interrupted. You don't have Semenyo or João Pedro right now. That's the wildest part to me. Like, you're doing so well this season.
I don't think I'm doing that well, but
it's all comparative.
Yeah, but I think, to be fair, what has buoyed me is getting the Holland pick right, and then having Reinders as well. Like, genuinely, those two have been a huge. Because if you think back to week 1, that was so far my best week, and it was when both of them popped off. This is another one where I get saved by both of them doing well. But haven't had Semenyo, haven't had the rises there. João Pedro has actually been killing me. I've kept Palmer through his shit, so it's been a problem. And I started with Wirtz, so we've made a lot of bad picks. And Cunha got injured, should have gone Bumo, all the 9 yards.
I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away that I hope I remember for next season, I probably won't, but I did last season that helped me a lot, was having Holland to start. It feels like he always gets off to fast starts, and Salah gets off to slightly slower starts, no matter who their fixtures are.
Yeah,
he got injured last year, though, is the problem. Like, it's
but I transferred him out before he got injured. It was
perfect. Last year, I do remember Salah having a pretty solid start as well. It was just that Holland's, to your point, was like
he was nuclear. Like a brace a game. It was stupid.
Did you guys see that this is his worst start to a season this year?
That's what I mean.
Isn't that unbelievable? And so to transition us to the next conversation, like, one thing that happened here that ultimately, like, I was sitting there cheering. I still, even despite these returns, was not looking at beating Sharp, but it turned into bonus points and DEFCON clearing me for Reinders. Ultimately, the DEFCON gods decided to give me one and then didn't recalculate, which I'm loving. I'll take it. Sharp, you were on the pod last week talking about how much you love DEFCON. How are we feeling about that now?
I love DEFCONs. I hate people that can't do math. So I'm not taking it out on DEFCONs. I'm taking it out on the idiots that are running FPL incorrectly.
Fair enough. Semenyo got DEFCONs this week. Reinders got DEFCONs this week. I'm still on my high horse of, I think they're kind of bullshit. I think they're a little unpredictable and stupid and weird. But
they're unpredictable except for the guys that have done them every single week.
Right.
When you look at Senesi, you look at the guy from, is it Sunderland? Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are the defenders that have done it. There's only 3 players who've gotten it every week, but yeah, Senesi, Tarkowski, and Mukiele from Sunderland. So, some of these center back defenders are really consistent, but again, it's still only 5 game weeks. I mean, that's a pretty solid sample size to say these guys are going to continue, but I think there's some interesting, like, the part that I'm struggling with is then you're kind of looking at your fixture ticker, and then what you have here, the best opponents to play against with DEFCON. You would have a normal fixture ticker, and then you might have like a DEFCON fixture ticker. I bet you by the end of the season we'll see somebody come up with something like that, where it's like, here are the best next 6 for DEFCONs in terms of matchup, because there are quite a few teams that it looks like people are starting to return on that stuff.
So is this the best teams that gives you DEFCONs?
Yeah. So on the right here is who would you want to be playing if you had a DEFCON defender?
Why is Villa so high?
Great question. Probably because they give up the ball instead of scoring goals.
Yeah, maybe you're just taking it from them.
Yeah, recoveries are high.
Okay.
They just try to send.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say they try to send crosses in and get a bunch of clearances for
That's
it.
a fair point. Because
they try to play in Watkins and he doesn't do anything.
Like Bournemouth,
no, he just steps offside.
Bournemouth, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, Brighton, United all make sense. So I'm like, I was just shocked to see Villa up there.
Yeah, I mean, some of these are weird, right? You would think like Liverpool and Arsenal kind of make sense because you'd want to be a team like playing defensively against a top side, but some of these may just be a little odd. Like, I don't know if is Bournemouth really going to be a team where you DEFCON a lot against? I'm not sure. Like, I think I think some of this just has to do with the teams that those teams have played so far and their style. Like the Bournemouth game against Brentford went crazy for DEFCONs, but it's just because they sat back and held. Bournemouth also played a game against Wolves where Wolves had gotten a red card and then had to sit back. So I think there's an element of this of it's early and it hasn't evened out yet, because that's the recipe, is if your team is doing a low block and sitting and chilling. Like I'm sure, I didn't look to confirm this, but I'm sure that Burnley absolutely crushed DEFCONs against Liverpool, right? So it's like that's really the recipe, at least from a defensive perspective. The midfielders are a little bit more interesting, but yeah, the whole thing is I get exhausted by it. I also, on a separate note, when we're looking at like midfielders and players to target, I'm sitting here, I'm potentially transferring in another United mid. Great moves by me this week. But looking at a player like Bruno versus Mbumo, it's like I would love to go with Mbumo because I think he's genuinely more attacking, and the underlying data shows that. But because of DEFCONs and because of penalties, I feel like there's no way I can't go Bruno. Do you know what I mean? Like I have to pick the less exciting player who actually might not get to goal as often, because that's just the environment we live in and the rules.
Higher floor, right? Like if you get 4 games with a return from Bumo in one of them and it's 2 points in the rest, like, okay, you're looking at what, 12 points?
Right.
If you get, I mean, that's bad math. It's not including bones or like time.
Yeah,
but if you play 4 games with Bruno and he cleans in all of those and gets DEFCONs, and you're looking at 20 points. So it's like I'm becoming aware of the scale of the floor of DEFCONs, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I've keep hearing this, that if Bruno had scored his penalty in week 2 or whatever, he'd be the second highest scoring mid in the game, or player in the game, maybe. So I think it's mid in the game, but it's just like it almost like deflates me. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm sitting here being like, like Bruno has been a little bit more attacking with Cunha gone, and that's a genuine change. But at the same time, he's the most defensive of those 3 guys, and we have to sit here and be like, well, because of all the extra stuff, I think we might, you know what I mean? Like it makes me a little bit sad to see that side of it. And then just the unpredictability of it is a little frustrating. Anyway, where do you guys want to go to next? Do we want to start talking about whether or not to wildcard, where we're at on that kind of stuff? Because, Mac and I were kind of going back and forth off air about whether we're going to do that. Mac, you seem pretty set on that. Do you kind of want to talk through where you're at with it, or like what your thought process was?
Yeah. Could you pull up my team again? That would be fantastic.
I just have yours from last week. I didn't get.
No, that's perfect, because I've already wild carded, as we've said a couple times. So I don't have my team from last week, and honest to God, gun to my head, I don't think I could have told you who my team was last week, because I just blocked it out of my mind. Like I've just been like, that never happened. I mean, I think the decision to wildcard was a series of a couple unfortunate events, right? On paper, the things I wanted at the beginning of the season were minutes, just consistency of minutes. I wanted some good fixtures, and that was kind of it, right? And then it was just like one blow after another, right? So like I started with double Forest defense, and in the first week they get that late handball, and then they were overperforming their numbers last year, but I thought with the amount of signings that they made, they would like maybe regress a little bit, but overall as a team, their floor would get higher. Excuse me, Forest. I say Brentford, Forest. And it just didn't pan out. And then Crystal Palace, who I also bet on, couldn't score because Sarr got injured, and he was like their major creative force for progressing the ball up the field. So that was a bummer. And then obviously I had Tielemans and Watkins, who, I mean, there's just no point of even wasting a second more of our energy on them. Like, they're just disgusting. The team, not them personally. I'm sure they're nice things.
My team would like to disagree for next week.
Right, yeah. So it was coming to the point where I was like, okay, like 6 out of 11 of my players are not functional assets right now, and we're getting to the point where team value is like starting to swing. And I'm like very much a proponent of the mentality that team value is overrated, but at the same time, there wasn't a real reason to like hold Tielemans and Watkins and an injured Murillo and an Anderson who's gotten DEFCONs in one game, and like I just decided to rip the Band-Aid off.
Well, and I do think from a team value perspective, something that's been weird is because we haven't had a diversity of players returning, we're just seeing a few players go up a shit ton. Senesi, Semenyo, João Pedro, like all these guys are just rising so much that they're almost becoming not affordable.
Yeah, and it's like it's not a huge deal right now, but it's like if Semenyo continues to just be a good pick over the course of the season, it's like
suddenly he's $8.5 million.
Suddenly he's $8.5 million, and then when you're trying to fit Saka into your team and you have to waste $1.5 million and go from a Tarkowski to like a 4.0 million defender,
right?
Then it's like painful. But it's like it's not a huge problem yet. Like I said a couple weeks ago, like Reiners, who's a good pick at 5.5, will be a good pick at 5.6. It's just at some point I think I do need to actually jump on the assets. So I had a team loaded with assets that were going down. It seemed like the wild card was pretty template, so it was a very safe wild card for me to activate on this week. And I'm like, all right, we go again. And now I'm just carrying a couple of transfers post wild card. So
yeah, so are you rolling 2?
Yeah, how does that work? So I would have come into this week with 2. No, it doesn't. You roll now.
You roll them, but you don't incur another one. So if you go into your wild card with 2 free transfers, you come out with 2. You don't have 3, but you don't have 0.
Yep.
Ooh, FPL mate did not say that. He said you went back.
I think
this was a change they made last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So unless I'm horribly mistaken, I'm pretty sure I just keep my free transfers, and I think my team's set up well enough for the next couple weeks to just accrue, and then all right, the fixtures flip in 12, 13, barring any catastrophic reasons to make transfers. Like, hopefully I can hold them.
And I think that like this is the conversation you and I were having, but the flip side of it is, and like the reason why I have initially been kind of anti wildcard is just exactly like I think the pros of what you just said of why to wildcard could also be argued as the cons of why not to. And I don't think there's a right answer. And like I said, I'm now stuck of not even knowing what I want to do. But the pros of it are getting on the players who are doing well right now and just setting that and forgetting it and kind of like catching up to everybody else and then having the transfers to be able to roll and adjust from there. But the downside of it is there's such a huge wave of people who are doing it this week. And so you're not necessarily differentiating from other people who are in that same boat. Yes, I'm certain that wildcarders will make gains in the next few weeks over everybody else, or most people will have a lot of green arrows, right? But at the same time, there's no differentiators right now. We're stuck in an environment where this wild card, all of the ones I'm seeing look very, very similar, save a couple of different picks. And I think that's what I'm seeing as the downside. But what's bringing me back around is kind of the ability to keep those transfers through is huge, because now you don't have to play this game of right now we're looking at this Arsenal fixture swing and try and catch up to that. And obviously other people are also looking at going from Salah to Haaland and trying to use transfers to do that. So doing the wild card and saving those transfers seems like a prudent way to not waste them right now. I think the nervousness I have with it is we don't know what's coming. Right now, that's the template and that's the perfect team, but it could be within as soon as a couple weeks that's no longer the case. And everybody's going Gyökeres, but maybe Saka's the guy, or Salah. I thought this weekend from Salah, I guess we can touch on the Liverpool game a little bit. I thought he looked phenomenal, like back to his normal self. And funny enough, it was because there was no Florian Wirtz. But I don't know. I'm nervous about all that stuff. I'm babbling a little bit, but I have a lot of thoughts of the pros and cons of wildcarding, and I think that's kind of just the narrative that's going around the community right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have. Sorry, Sharp.
No, you're good.
This one. It's all about me this week. I won, bitches. But I thought about those things extensively. Like I was, like, there's value to be had if I save my wild card later. But ultimately, the reason I decided that I needed to wild card was because if you look at the teams with the amount of work that I have to do, I just didn't see some of the picks that I had becoming good,
right,
longer term. Like the Palace fixtures are flipping pretty aggressively right now. I mean, Tielemans is actively injured. Murillo is kind of injured. He might be back, but with the Ange system, it just not the reason I had to pick him. And with only 2 transfers, I was already going to look at taking a hit, but there was just no 11. Even if I went up to take a -8, which I contemplated, there was no 11 that I could put out that was good for this week and good for the next couple weeks. So I'm fine wildcarding with all of the points that you said being completely valid, and I'm equally scared of them. It's just team specific. I think some people have a tendency to launch the wildcard because all of the content creators are doing it, myself included. Like, I'm not going to throw stones. But for me, it was just like, I don't see a path to recovery with this team. And sure enough, if the meta flips and these guys suddenly become good again, it's like, all right, I got punished, but you can only work with the information at the time that you have.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a good thought process is what is a team right now? Because we all know what the good picks are right now. And we also all know what the bad picks are right now. It's very obvious in FPL. It's not super nuanced at the moment. What picks do you need to have in your team right now that justify a wild card? I think one of them is not having Haaland. I think anybody with double Villa, that's a big problem. Double Forest, that's a big problem. So looking at your squad here where you've decided to pull the trigger on it versus this is my team. No, that's not it. Let's look at this was my team going into last week where in theory, because I have Haaland, I don't have a ton of Villa. I should be a little bit closer to what the wild card template is. And in theory shouldn't have to wild card. I think it's curious to sit there and be like, what are the things you need? Because one of the things that going into a wild card that we're looking at right now with this Arsenal run is triple Arsenal. That seems to be pretty much the staple front line of João Pedro, Haaland, Gyökeres, and then filling out the midfield with some of the big guys as well. No Salah. So I think if you don't have any Arsenal coverage, you have double Villa, you maybe have double Forest, especially depending on the shit show that's going on right now with Chris Wood and Murillo that I'm having to sift through. That potentially justifies it. There's a lot of teams that could argue wildcarding. I think I'm struggling now to figure out what's the point where you don't wildcard. I was confident in that earlier in the week, but now with all the extra uncertainty that's kind of come into things of players who are being rested or injured or what have you, it's it may just be a good opportunity for everybody to reset because we know what the good picks are so far. I just worry that we're going to be down the line later and looking at this and be like, we fucked it. It's the landscape completely changed by, in 5 weeks.
But the landscape will change in 5 weeks. That's the thing. You're right. It always goes like this. I've contemplated this is so weird. I've contemplated taking notes of each game week and just the general sentiment of the media and stuff. Yeah. Because this time last year, everybody was Chelsea's winning the league. They were absolutely flying, and then they finished fourth, something solid season. But they had a pretty poor run in. This time last year, nobody was talking about Forest, and they were amazing, right? So these, you got to just assume on a wild card that 50% of your picks are going to be wrong, and that used to be so much more of a disadvantage than it is now that you can carry your transfers.
Right, and that is definitely pertinent in my thinking. But I guess let's flip over to Sharp and somebody who's not wildcarding. What has driven you to not do it? And I don't know if you want me to show your game week 5 or your game week 6 team.
Go ahead and show my game week 5 team first.
Yeah.
So we were sitting here, and honestly, if you look at this team, maybe think about doing it because of Watkins, because double Forest, because no Haaland, some of the things you guys already touched on. However, I am kind of already, the core pieces are there. The guys that you need from a lower level are there, right? João Pedro is someone you want to go after. I think Kudos isn't someone you need, but he's not a problem.
They've got a great solid run of fixtures right now. I actually think all the wildcard templates that I've seen don't have enough Spurs. And I don't know if that's true for you, Mac, but
no, I'll get into that. I have thoughts.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And obviously Ndai and Reindeer are 2 people that I think people are targeting as well, or should be, which honestly, if we touch on that for a second, the amount of people that were trying to transfer them out to the point where Rudolph took a price dip early last, I was like, what do we just, I get maybe they're not the loudest names out there, but do we hate points? They're guys that have consistently given us points.
100%. And to Mac's point, I think that shows the like I've noticed this with specifically with FPL, and I also follow F1, and they both, because they have the same format of one, round a week, the like flip-flop of narratives is unbelievable. The 1 week this guy's shit to the next week this guy's amazing is so constant. And if you get caught up in it, you understand why you can make some like knee-jerk transfers and not really just be looking at this and trying to take like 1,000-foot view. But it's especially hard at this part of the season where there's just like not a lot to go off of.
There's no information. You're increasing the sample size by such a large percent every week.
Yeah.
Which is totally fair. And then I have Arsenal defense in there right now too. Like I kind of mentioned already, not sure if I want to stay with Gabriel the entire time, but he's in there right now. So kind of covered off from that perspective. And the most important thing is I had 2 free transfers in the bank and the ability to move money around. So if you flip to my team this week, I made these transfers as soon as the window basically opened to be able to do so because of the price rises that I assumed were going to happen with Haaland and Semenyo. So I went Wood out, Salah out, Semenyo and Haaland in. And honestly, I don't feel like I'm too incredibly far off from where a lot of the template teams are. My goalie is different, right? Like ideally, do I want Raya back there? Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great, but I'm not mad about it. Would I like Milinkovic out there? Yeah, but it's Sunderland and he'll be out of there next week for sure. That's going to be a priority. And would I like Watkins to... The ironic part is I could take a 4-point hit. I have exactly the money to go to Gyökeres. However, I don't know if I want to go there yet. And that's because I still don't have a ton of faith. I don't believe. And, I point fingers, tell me I'm a fool. I just said, why are people going away from Ndai and Reindeers? Because they get points. Why am I not going to someone that gets points and holding Watkins? But one, I don't think I could play him. Who do you want to bench for him? Probably Bumo at this point, just based off of fixtures that are playing next week. But I don't really want to do that. I feel okay with Watkins coming off the bench if for some reason
it's not worth it.
Actually doesn't play.
Well,
no, I don't think so.
If like Haaland doesn't play, the Watkins versus Fulham fixture is better than the Gyökeres versus Newcastle fixture. That's the best defense in the game versus the second best defense in the game. So it's not a problem if like Haaland doesn't play. It's probably a better pick this week.
That was the goal. That's the thought process, right? And to be honest, what I was considering at first, if I had a better bench, was bench boosting because it would be such an easy... I'm considering chips this week, right? Where everyone's wildcarding. How can I make up that point? Watkins on the bench or whoever I put on that bench was like, ooh, man, like I kind of want him to play, even though, Watkins has been shit. Like, there's going to be a time where he turns it around. You got to hope. I'm losing faith quickly, but would love to see that happen. And then I look at my Wan-Bissaka is not going to play. Okay, well, that's a wasted pick.
He might. I heard something this week. I can't track it down, but I heard he might actually start this week.
Even if he does, I still have 2 defenders playing City. So
it doesn't feel like the bench boost week. But okay, I'm sure you're thinking about, first let me say, I think the interesting part about this, and this is again where I'm like reinvigorated to like, no, don't wildcard in general, is if you can get to a spot like this, like you're in a specific scenario, not everybody's in this spot. And like, I'm not saying like blanket statement, don't wildcard. But if you can get to a team like this, I actually think it gives you a touch of upside on wildcarders, because wildcarders are forced to sit here and say, okay, I'm going to get the triple Arsenal picks. To your point with Gyökeres, they're playing Newcastle. Yeah. I'm not worried about that guy against Newcastle. I mean, if he pops off, sure. But that's not like, you're not necessarily worried about that. You also have Van Dijk, which not a lot of wildcarders have. You have Bumo, which is like for the next 2 weeks is going to be a really interesting punt and could be, beneficial. Kudus, I mean, I've seen him in some, so it's not like that crazy. But and then you have a forced defender against Sunderland, and they've been not very good, but they're playing Sunderland. Who knows? So like, I think not using the most powerful chip in the game is smart for this team, and I think that justifies like the moves you're making. Everything you just said make perfect sense, and it also the next thing I'm sure you're going to get into is then you have the upside of you can play triple captain.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
You wanted to with Haaland.
And honestly, I might do it anyway because I'm probably going to leave that vice captainship on Semenyo. I mean, he's just been consistent. He's gonna, from everything we've seen, he's going to get an assist or score or do something positive to where, maybe it's not going to be the ideal triple captain, but if it does get shoved down to him, I'm not scared by it. Like, I still think I'm going to get points off of it.
And I really just wouldn't worry about Haaland. Like, if I'm wrong on that and we get burned, like that's on me. But it's also like a week where everyone would get burned. yes, the triple captaincy would suck, but it's not the end of the world. I thought this was an interesting thing that I saw Rob T put out, but it was kind of talking about the general thought process here is that in general, the triple captaincy, in theory, this is all based on projections and models, is going to be less powerful than it's been in years past. And I think part of that has to do with Salah not being as good as he is. In theory, you would want to triple captain a mid because they get more points for goals. They have lower thresholds for bonus. It's most beneficial. But in this season, with Salah potentially not looking like he has that great of a distribution, maybe he could turn on and be the guy, but he might also not. There's a lot of appeal to do it this week. I also, to the point of like the fast starts, these players haven't like been playing too much yet, right? They're not in that fatigue part of the season where we're seeing injuries crop up. We're seeing them playing 3 games a week for multiple weeks in a row. And Haaland always starts strong. So this to me just feels like a prime opportunity to do it. I'm not saying that should put people off wildcarding because I think you can find a different triple captaincy week. We saw people with the team of the week fucking triple captain, Saliba and get it, like whatever. It doesn't matter. But at the same time, like this does seem like a good opportunity to do it. And I just feel like I'm not trying to overthink it. I think people are trying to overthink it. And the whole back pain thing is part of that, where it's just like you have a player who's putting unbelievable metrics out there. He's playing the worst defense in the Prem. They're the second best attack in the Prem so far on both of those. Like just set it and forget it. That's kind of my thought process with it. If you're not wildcarding, obviously.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I just thought it was funny. You said you're not overthinking it. We found the one thing you're not overthinking.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like back to my team last week, to be fair, last week, my team, yes, I got lucky to an extent, but also like I intentionally captained Haaland. I was like, there was a lot of calling to go for somebody else who maybe had a better fixture, but wasn't as attacking. I was just like, you know what? It's kind of what you said, Mac, in like week 2 or whatever. It's like big players, big games. Like Haaland's been doing really well. I'm just not going to overthink this part of it and just put it on the player who I think is the best. Let's see if he scores. I think the Reinders part is more where I got a little bit lucky because like the fucking DEFCONs and bonus are just unbelievable. But I just feel like this is a player who's crushing it. I think him getting tugged early in the game and not playing Wednesday is actually better for him this weekend. And I think the whole back pain thing is just a guise to give him a rest. Like I think they're just trying to make sure their best player doesn't get hurt. So yeah, I'm definitely for it.
I have a ton of thoughts. So yeah, Sharp. If I had your team, I wouldn't wildcard. Like straight up. I was doing the math on your team, and you could have solved all of your problems with a minus. I mean, you could say a -8 or like -12 technically if you really wanted to get rid of Milinkovic.
Right. If you wanted to go to a wildcard team, yeah.
But like. Yeah. You have now set Milinkovic versus Sunderland, which is a pretty safe pick. Yeah. And it's like not every pick can be good every week. You got a great bench option on the off chance that Haaland doesn't play. You're not forced to bring like a Gokeres in versus Newcastle. And you come in with a transfer next week. So then it's like, okay, Watkins doesn't have a good fixture next week, done. Milinkovic doesn't have a good fixture next week, done. Like it's objectively good not to wildcard for you, I think. Like, and if I was in your position, I wouldn't be. I'm trying to get to a team that you already have. So I am losing team value. It's just that I need to play the game. On your triple captain point, I think it's the weakest chip of the 4. And I don't think if it doesn't work out, you should be that disappointed. And if it does, great, because it's Haaland and he's scoring well, right? So it's as good of a week as any, because if you think about it, everybody's captaining Haaland this week, right? So if you triple captain Haaland and he goes off and like, let's say he gets 10 points at a base, you guys beat us out by 10.
Additional 10.
You get 10 points, right? Okay. A free hit, that can be a 60-point swing. A bench boost, I mean, can be 6 points, but at the same time,
I think bench boost is probably the weakest chip. But
no, I don't think so, because you have 4 players at a minimum who are playing. So if you just get participation points on your player, comes out with 2, then you get 6. If you get participation points on your bench, you get 8, and the upside is so high. And then obviously the wild card is, I think, the most powerful just because of the long-term potential. So that's a lot of ways to just say like, while triple captain against a good fixture, it's as much of a defensive play as it is an offensive play, because if a lot of people use it this week, you're fine.
Yeah. And there are like on the flip side, if you're a wild carder, there are going to be other opportunities, and it's not something you have to plan for. So that's good. But I think if it sways you, if you had the opportunity, I would go for it, because I think some of these later ones that you're seeing with like Liverpool and City between 12 and 19 there that look really nice. That's where they're playing like 3 games a week, and it's like Champions League. They're big games that they're having to play a lot of. So there could be a lot of rotation and injuries.
A few of those games too, you're going to see Salah out anyway. So who are you going to take?
Right.
I mean, probably Isak, I guess, at that point. But
I think that's a interesting question as we look at the wild card stuff.
So that's what I think I know where you're going, and I guess I want to take where my team is and why I'm also not wild carding. I mean, we've touched on plenty of the reasons, and honestly, the way my team is set up is completely fine. Which is ironic that I'm wearing this hat when my team is looking the best go forward. But
funny enough though, like honestly, that's what was making me laugh last week as well, is that going into this week, I was like, my team's set for 6. This was a pure roll for me, no questions asked. Obviously, some injuries cropped up and whatever, but like, point being, I scored I had 7 points going into the last game or whatever it was. But I was like, well, I mean, this team's good. I'm just getting unlucky. And so to your point, I think having a bad week last week doesn't necessarily, out of the 3 of us, Mac won, and he's the one wild carding, and the 2 of us are being like, actually, it might be okay. Go forward.
Yeah. But I think what this sets me up for, what I'm hoping, what the plan is to try to get an Arsenal player in there, another one for game week 7. That would be my transfer next week. Haven't fully decided how that's going to look, how that's going to land. I think I can go to Calafiori if I wanted to from Milinkovic right now with the funds that I have in place. And ideally, I would probably go defense just to do it. We'll see how that plays out next week. But then looking at game week 8 and hopefully just getting a little more knowledge under the belt, see where Saka is sitting, see if I need to go after him versus Gyökeres, or I mean, you had Liverpool up there in game week 8, I think was the highest projected score too, and trying to get back to a solid Holland team and see how that would play out for the upcoming weeks. I think that's the possible advantage, because I think once you don't have one of them in, it's really hard to get both of them in.
Yeah.
If you don't have almost all 5 of your free transfers.
I mean, yes and no. Yes, you're right, and overall that's the right point. But also, if we're looking at somebody like Mac and he says, "Hey, I want to switch." Yes, to get both of them in. But if I wanted to switch Haaland to Salah in 8, that's 2 transfers. Easy.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you want to get both of them in.
Yeah. So, okay, looking at your team and the potential transfers, because I think this will just bridge us nicely into the when to wild card conversation if it's not this week. Yeah. So, first of all, Arsenal. That is the big issue, is that I think the next big weeks that would be good wildcards are 8 for the point you just made of getting both of them in, or 13 when everything changes drastically later on. 8, the problem is you want Arsenal guys for West Ham. And I know you were talking about a defensive asset, but I would actually argue you probably want the offensive guy. Whether that's Gyökeres or Saka is, I don't know yet.
I know. No, I agree with you. I can see that. I think the other aspect is I kind of want Senesi in the back line too, because I think Bournemouth has some decent fixtures coming up too. Yeah. So there are certainly a couple people in an ideal perfect world. I think if I'm not going to do it this week, I just can't do it next week. It feels wrong to push it off another week to me to take a wild card. So that's where I'm at right now. And I'm waiting till 8. So
you're thinking wild card 8?
Yeah, I'm thinking wild card 8. But then to your point of the next time being 13, I plan in a perfect world again to roll transfers and then be able to take advantage of that. Then if I have wild carded into the ideal team, it plays well. Then I have the free transfers to switch again with the fixtures.
But
and then
this is where the 8 thing gets weird, is that so you're going to spend transfers on getting in Arsenal players next week, but then you're going to wild card to get in Arsenal players. And I'm not saying that's the wrong play, because I'm thinking the same thing. I'm just saying it almost feels like, oh, should we just wild card now? You know what I mean? And get the Arsenal players in.
Well,
and
it's also if you use your transfers before the wild card and then you wild card and then the meta shifts and you don't know the picks, you have no way out of them. Right. You're not adverse to taking a hit, as we're aware.
And I think the flip side of it is you right now, Mac, have to make the choice between Gyökeres and Saka. You have to figure out who your 3 Arsenal players are. And something that is keeping me from wildcarding this week is that Sharp and I can look watch this game, see a full game out of Saka, assuming he plays. Or if he doesn't, that's more information, and find out, is it really Gyökeres? Is it really Saka? Like, which attacking guy do I want for West Ham the next week? Or to your point, Sharp, you just go safe and go with the defender. Either way, but like even that, Calafiori gets an injury or somebody gets rested or something. Just one more week of information, especially with regards to Arsenal, feels like a big advantage.
Oh, 100%. I think that will tell us a lot. And yes, would Calafiori be my like top pick? No, but is he someone that I think is going to get points from that fixture? For sure. Yeah. So why not take that transfer? But I think I'm going to call it now and, max the profit here. And I've been incorrect because I was all high on Ali, but I want to see what happens to João Pedro too. I'm not convinced that I want him in my team long-term either. He's been great. And, there's maybe no reason to say that, but it feels like whenever there's someone that we don't necessarily expect right away to go off early in the season, they fizzle out and regress back to their mean. And I can foresee that
he's been overperforming, and like his goals have all come from aerial actions too, which is like maybe he's just really good at that now, and that's like something that could be a trend. But I'm with you. It's a weird one because I think he's going to regress from what he's at now. I don't know how much, and I especially am. I think the flip side of it though is like no Palmer. In theory, that makes him more integral and maybe makes him a better asset. I mean, he's on penalties probably. If Palmer's out, then that's more of a positive. So I agree with you, but I think it's a weird one. Yeah.
And I'm hoping that 2 more weeks of information allows me to get the correct people in there when I do it.
Right. Well, and the shitty part is he plays Liverpool in 7. So it's,
I know.
That's another issue with it. But I'm saying all this stuff in like I'm thinking the exact same things and I'm doing the exact same things. I'm just arguing with myself right now of these
are the thoughts that you've been spinning on.
Yes.
You know what I think is funny, and sorry, this is unrelated honestly, but looking at the defender Mukiele, the guy from Sunderland, why are more people not going after a 4-0 defender that consistently gets you 2 extra points?
So
because he's on my I plan to get him.
Yeah, so it
conceded. Sorry, you go, Luke.
No, I don't think that's honestly like too much of an issue for a 4-0 in my eyes. Like, yes, that could be, but they've been solid defensively so far. Again, 5 weeks could be a problem in that sense. The reason why I've heard other folks going with Alderete here in 7th over Mukiele is just because there's some concern that Mukiele might move to a wingback position and might not be getting the CBITs as much or like the DEFCONs as much. And they're not too different in terms of how much they're incurring on a week over week. But to your point, like I think a 4-0 CBIT defenders, I mean, that seems like a cheat code, like a player who you could say, even if they get scored on, they're getting 2 extra points. Like, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. And especially with most of us having a Steve back there, like,
yeah. And he's a good player as well.
Defense more, but I trust Sunderland's defense more than Burnley so far.
Yeah. But it's the same premise, right? Like
it is.
Steve is like somebody who I'm not worried about playing unless he's playing like Liverpool or City. And ironically, he did really well against Liverpool. But unless he's playing a high-powered attack, I'm kind of like, okay, concede the clean sheet. I'm not expecting the clean sheet. And then get some DEFCONs, and then cool, we're good.
Yeah. I mean, he would double Gabriel's score from last week. He'd have 4 at that point. So,
yeah, it's so weird. What a world we live in. Sorry, Mac, I cut you off, though.
No, I was just going to say, I don't know if I love the idea of a 4.0. I mean, even if they're getting DEFCONs, if they're shipping a lot of goals, it's negated because it's minus a point for goals shipped, right? So it's like if you lose every game 2-0, your ceiling is, and you're not scoring, your ceiling is still 2 points.
Sure.
Versus if you're on a cheap defender that is more likely to clean, like potentially a Fulham defender, and they get a clean sheet and they get DEFCONs like an Anderson, you're looking at 8 points. So
yeah. I mean, obviously you want somebody who does both, obviously. But right. I think the question is like, you're looking at somebody like a Gabriel who's 6 mil and you're getting no DEFCONs. It's entirely you're looking at him for clean sheets, which I'm not saying is a bad pick, but you're entirely looking at him on that perspective. The flip side of it is you're taking 2 million less. You can put that somewhere else in your team, and you're getting a player who's at his baseline on 4. And is it 2 goals scored against you gets you minus 1 point?
Yeah.
Yep.
So then, yeah, okay. As long as they don't score 4 on you, then you're at 3 points. I mean, that's not the end of the world. But I do hear you. Like the upside isn't quite as high for sure.
Well, I'll
The
argue
ironic-
with myself too. Like it's a 4.0 defender. You're not expecting great things.
Right.
Right. And the ironic part is, I mean, they haven't played tough teams, don't get me wrong, but they've only given up 2 goals once. They've given up less than that every other game.
And it's worth noting, like if you were bringing in a player like this, you're not doing it because they're going to start in your back line every week. You're doing that because they're going to rotate in. And if you have an injury or something, they can go in and play a team like Aston Villa, or maybe that's a bad example because they've been so bad, but like go against Brentford and they can get you, there's small potential for a clean sheet, and then there's high potential for DEFCONs. So
Yeah,
I think it's like it's an option. It's frustrating that it's an option, but it's an option.
I mean, I'm gonna say I just make a pitch for him because I feel like I like him. I'm feeling him. His next 3 games are what? Forest, not scared of them. United, okay, they might give up the clean sheet there, but you're probably gonna get the DEFCONs there. I feel good about that. And then they have Wolves.
Yeah,
I expect them to keep a clean sheet there, or they at least have the possibility to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, 100%. Are you thinking of bringing him in now or like next week?
It would be, the ironic part is that probably would be against Wolves in 8 when he would probably be part of the wildcard team as my cheap back line. So
yeah, and I think that's what it is more so about like if you're trying to do a wild card where you're trying to fit in like Saka and Salah, or like Haaland and Salah, exactly. Like if you're trying to do that can be the cheat code. Is before we looked at a 4.0 defender and said they're never keeping cleans, what's the point? But now we can say, all right, they at least might start at 4 points.
Yeah. No, it's him and who's the Isidore up there in the front. Like honestly, Sunderland, they're just cheap. They're attacker. He won't be on here. Sorry. I'm just looking at them coming in as possible cheap options because I feel like they've been outperforming their pricing.
Yeah.
So
100% agreed. They're like 5th for XG conceded in a good way. Like
yeah. But again, like is that this is where it's hard. Like they've looked good defensively, quote unquote, but is it just small sample size?
I mean, at some point you got to take calculated bet. I never hopped on the Chris Wood train last year and got punished the entire season. It was like, you get the points if they're happening, right? You can always transfer them out later, I guess.
Yeah.
Should we jump into wild cards? I feel like we've danced around it enough.
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I guess let's jump into your wild card squads, like drafts.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other thing you want to cover before we get in there? Why is the camera not focusing today?
I don't know.
Crazy.
I think I'm down to do that. I also want to get your guys' opinion on my transfers at some point, but we can do that after.
Let's do yours first. Mine might be a little more in depth.
Okay. Well, you know me. I'm really short-winded. So no, sorry. This is my.
Oh, you just wanted to flash that 38 again, didn't you?
Yeah, baby.
Man, look how many drafts we got. This is crazy.
This is my bust team going into Game Week 6. So the transfers made were Palmer out. Saw the rumors. I was thinking about transferring him out anyway, that he's going to be out long term, just because like if you have a player who you're not sure if he's going to start, you're not sure how many minutes he's going to play. Like I just think you have to get rid of him. It's weird because you might want to get him back in 9 or somewhere around then, but this seems like an injury that's going to get worse before it's going to get better. So I'm interested in transferring him out. Like I said to you guys earlier with the United guys is where I was interested in going. I'm leaning Bruno for a couple of reasons. One, the ones we talked about, just like routes to points, but also they play Liverpool coming up. And I would be much more inclined to play Bruno against Liverpool than I would if I got Mbumo, just because, there's, again, routes to points really is what it is. So that was the thought process with that one. And then the other transfer I have is Watkins to João Pedro. So that seems like fine. And then looking at this team going into the next week, I'm not, this is fine. The things that worried me today are that Murillo didn't travel with the team and didn't play today. And they played pretty much their first team. Similarly, Chris Wood sat on the bench and his backup scored 2 goals again. So,
hey, don't worry. You were telling the Twitter people to not fearmonger so much.
That's what that's what I think. I think that like Chris Wood he got the rest, right? I think it's the same type of thing as Haaland, although Haaland is clearly performing a lot better than Chris Wood. But I think, this seems like an opportunity where they're just trying to rest and put in other players. I think long-term Chris Wood is not a pick. But I feel like for this weekend, he could be serviceable. Murillo is the one I'm worried about. If he didn't play this game, when Ange said he was going to play this game, I'm like, he might just not play. So my tentative plan with this, if I left it as is, would be to next week bring in Saliba for Murillo and bring in Gyökeres for Wood. So just get rid of both of those guys. For the reasons we talked about, I don't really want to go early on Gyökeres, but could go early on Saliba. Alternatively, I could go from Murillo to like Senesi or Tarkowski or something and like gear it that way. But the choice on that is very hinging on when am I wildcarding. I'm with you, Sharp. I've been looking at wildcard 8. I've also been looking at wildcard 13. In theory, in my head, like I want to save the wildcard till 13, and I think I can get through with this team. But that means I have to spend all of my transfers over the next couple weeks, which I have 3 right now. So I'd have to spend everything that I get in the next couple weeks on transfers to get the Arsenal guys and get the Forest and Villa guys out. And then I could wildcard an 8. To your point, do like a Salah Haaland draft if Salah is looking like his same self again. I could also put myself in a position where I say, okay, I'm not going to wildcard and just move on from there. The reason why now I'm starting to be like, should I just do 6 is if I feel like if I'm doing 8, I should just do 6 now, carry 3 transfers in, and then by 8 have 5 transfers to do whatever I want and just completely change the squad. I feel like that's basically a wild card.
I mean, yes. I think one thing I failed to mention and is on my mind and should have mentioned is that we're talking Haaland Salah in 8. I think that could very easily become Haaland Isak, and you don't want Isak necessarily. I mean, now he's going to have to play. I don't think he's fit enough to play the full 90. I think he's still going to get subbed for.
Yeah, that's some interesting shit. Like I'm kind of like if I was on wildcard and really, really on wildcard, I would be tempted to go there just because you think, okay, he has to play this weekend. He has to play big minutes this weekend, probably. Maybe not 90 to your point, but has to play big minutes. So if he handles that well, let's say he scores, like he's not going to get out of the team. Like they're going to be like, okay, he seems ready. You know, they're not. I don't think he's going to be sharing too many minutes with Ekitike. So it is an interesting, like, Slot's hand is forced, but it is an interesting, like, is he just going to be the guy for a while now? I don't know.
Well, I think you look at how he even played this past weekend, and if you notice, Soboslai was playing more in the center up for a lot of that second half, and Ekitike was almost shadowing left and letting Gakpo kind of play back. And I wonder if they're kind of trying to get Ekitike to see if they can play either 2 up front or get him to play on the left side too, so that you can have Isak and him in there. But I think when you spend that much money, the same reason that Wirtz has continued, I mean, thank God we pulled him a little bit, but has continued to play is because when you spend that much money, you're going to have to play him. Otherwise, people are going to get upset. But what that could do if we wait to 8 is now it could be that Saka, Haaland, and Isak are the right guys to have. And you have a very easy route to have all 3 of those in your team, which I think could be really interesting.
And I think like staying open is probably the best play here. But let's say I was going on wildcard 8 and like right now I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that's what I want to do. For example, I would go Buma over Bruno because I'd say, okay, over the next 2 games, I like his attacking upside against Brentford and Sunderland. I don't need to worry about the Liverpool fixture because I'll wildcard him and Cunha out. So I don't need to worry about that at all. And I'm going to go with the more attacking player. Similarly, I would go probably just Murillo to Tarkowski this week and just be like, all right, I'm going to attack Everton playing West Ham and like be really aggressive with the transfers that I need to make now, as opposed to like making those long-term, okay, you know, I'm looking at, I want to get in Arsenal for this run, or I want to like, and so this is why I'm kind of going on that back and forth and overthinking FC is because I can't decide if I'm trying to set up this team for the long term or if I'm setting it up for 2 weeks, really. And you can even argue like wildcard 7, you know, you could just go in and get all the Arsenal guys then. It's
called dead ending, which has historically been more important. Like when you only had 2 transfers and couldn't carry them through a wild card, you would very frequently just dead end your team. Like say I'm going to play for the next couple games very aggressively and then completely flip because I don't get my transfers anyways, so they're burned. But now that we keep them, you do have to think on longer horizons. Yeah. One thing I want to ask you guys is, I know we've talked about the idea of wildcarding in 13, but 3 game weeks later, you're going to get 5 transfers.
I was going to ask the same thing.
So after Sharp asked this last week, I really looked into it because I started being like, shit, maybe he's like, that was my tentative plan just because I had seen the fixture swing and was wondering how that was going to work. I guess let's start here. The beauty of it is get to be aggressive with your transfers both before wildcard 13 and immediately after. So that's like the play of it. One, it's that looking at these fixtures between 13 and 15, like you as a game week 6 wildcard or Mac could say in your head, okay, well, by that time, I'll bring in Haaland and Salah. But you're going to have injuries in between now and then and things that change that you're going to be forced to use transfers on that you might not be able to get to that squad. Setting up for the wildcard 13 ensures that you can do that. 1. 2, you can burn all of your transfers and, to your point, dead end into 13 and then continue to burn those transfers and attack like punt players, hey, this player's playing West Ham, this player's playing West Ham, what have you, and then jump into 16 and, to your point, get your 5. So yes, everyone will be in the same boat by 16, but 13, it's actually more so about like your actions between now and then your actions for the couple weeks after. Because like, for example, the Arsenal stuff, like I can go ahead and use up my transfers and like target the Arsenal players and then target a couple of the players who are like having good fixtures between now and 13 and then dead end into that wild card, come back out, use transfers every week. And I don't really need to be banking anything. So I think that's the thought process, but it's not that I'm looking at that and saying that's objectively the best wild card. I just am, to Sharp's point, like I was really starting to think about that after last week and being like, is this even viable? Like, what's the point if you get more transfers in 16? But I think that's the idea, is that you're trying to target some of these big fixture swings and be able to attack them early, right? So I built a wildcard 13 draft that I can show you guys really quickly just to talk about.
Way too early wildcard 13 draft.
Absolutely. Like, it makes no sense. And that's part of the point of why it might make sense to do it, is because so much could change between now and then. But
I mean, I guess maybe stupid question. Who are you trying to aggressively attack and then switch on? Like, it looks like the same teams are having these same goals throughout. No,
it would probably be Arsenal, because ultimately, yes, Arsenal still have good fixtures after 13, but you can't afford to have them and Salah and Haaland and potentially Isak. So that's the trade-off, is that in 13 you could put together a team that might have all 3 of those guys and just like be able to set it and get all the points from those couple weeks.
I get it. I guess the flip side is every Arsenal guy that you're going to have is going to be a similar price point, other than Salah, I guess. Maybe like, could you not just end up doing 1-for-1s at that time? Like Gorkarez or in Saka to Isak and say Gakpo or whoever that guy is at that time.
I think even if you had, like, let's say you had 3 free transfers, and you had a team right now that you had set with Saka, Gyökeres, and Haaland, and you were trying to get to, that's maybe not the best example, but like whatever, those 3 guys, and you're trying to get to Haaland, Salah, and Isak, I think that would end up being trickier than it seems. Like, the thing about Salah is, especially when I was looking at building wildcard 6 drafts, and so we can jump into that in a second, Mac, with yours, is like Salah's 14.5. Like Saka's 4 million cheaper. That's such a huge amount to find in your team to be able to make that bump up. Like the real appeal of a 13 is that Salah has found his footing and he's the same pick that he was before, and you can have him and Haaland. That's like the big appeal, I think. Let me show what that would look like. So like planning that out, I realize this is probably small as fuck. That's something better.
During this break, please direct your attention to the top of your screen to see our sponsor, StreamYard.
Can we get sued for that? Are they just gonna be like free publicity? Thanks.
Yeah,
for
100% free publicity. Sharp's doing the Lord's
people.
work. So like we were saying, because nothing has changed between now and then, this is a far too early wild card to look at. So there are a lot of the same picks that you have now in a 6 wild card as you do in a 13. But the difference would be that you're getting players like Salah, Isak, and Haaland all together. So again, I'm not sitting here saying this is absolutely the way, you have to go this way, but there certainly is some appeal of being able to flip on those fixtures, get guys like Newcastle players, get triple up on Bournemouth, get all the guys who have great fixtures from that point, and attack the early ones going into that. But again, I'm also considering 8. So I think they're all options. And I think I'm kind of the belief I was that saving the wild card is just in general smarter because you get more information and you can use it at a point where you really need it, as opposed to using it in a position now where you're kind of like, well, it'd be nice to not have to use transfers, and then you might find yourself in a pickle later that you can't get out of.
I really needed it this week. That's genuinely the thing.
100%, 100%.
I would have liked to save it maybe a little bit longer, but
I think it's absolutely team dependent. I'm just saying, as somebody who's sitting in a spot where like I'm not in an awful spot, but I'm not in a perfect spot either. I'm like, you could make arguments either way.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. Like, I think if you don't need to use it, don't use it, right? The longer you can hold it, it gives you more advantage on the competition. It's just that chips didn't fall my way at the start, so got to reset. Who would you wildcard into in a couple weeks that's going to be different than who I'm wildcarding in now? Because that's one of the reasons I jumped this week, is because like I'm just playing the price game.
So that's the thing. Like maybe it's the exact same, and that's a real possibility. Maybe it's that you figure out that, you know, everybody's going Gyak. Maybe it's Saka. Everyone's going Salah, or no one's going Salah. No one's going Isak. No one's going any Liverpool. Maybe Isak becomes like, holy shit, we need to get that guy right now. Not to say that people who wildcarded now can't get there as well, but it's the same argument at once we're in game week 8 as it is for now to wildcard of, okay, well, I can carry the transfers through. I can adjust my structure. We're good to go. Not to mention, you know, all the like any unexpected injuries that come your way. So, but I agree with you. 2 weeks later is not all that different. The game week 4 wildcard looks very similar to this wildcard. They're not the same. Players who were doing well early in the season are still doing well.
It could change, though. It's going to change. Like, I guarantee we'll have some players we haven't even talked about once the season and our teams at the end of the season. We'll see. Yeah. No, that was a good discussion. I appreciated that. It was fun to get both sides.
I do think because it's been so consistent so far that something crazy is going to happen. Like someone's going to get hurt, something's going to flip, something's going to happen, and we lost our host.
We just lost him?
Well, I heard something screaming in the background, so hopefully Rachel's okay. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything good?
Oh, yeah, I was just letting my cat out.
Oh, Bubba? We thought that was Rachel yelling.
That cat's got some lungs on it.
They sound similar.
Sorry, Rachel.
Mac, do you want to jump through your wildcard drafts?
Yeah, let's go for it.
I'm excited to see which one we're going to see first. We have so many options.
No, you're not.
I just like that you get shit for it because I certainly send a ridiculous amount of screenshots.
Oh, am I guilty of sending screenshots? Sure.
Can I just say,
I fight you guys every way? Just out of principle, yeah.
Well, I love this is, there's a reason why I'm comfortable going long this week is because
I think you got to bring me on stage, big boy.
Oh, are you sharing?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I didn't realize you can't do that. That's
brutal. Sorry, keep going. You're going long.
No, I was just saying, I'm down to go long. It's because like the group chat was popping off this week with like all the conversations about this, all the different drafts we're going into, like this type of discussion of should we wildcard, should we not? Like, I do really think this is probably the most pivotal week in.
We need a public group chat or something, like, because I swear that our group chat is more entertaining than the podcast because it's just where all the crackpot theories come out and they get refined into this neat little package.
Yeah, but then people are going to see my shitty takes that I don't want people to see.
Yeah, but it's personality. It's more real.
Well, and because everything you've said on here has been so intelligent.
Exactly.
Fair enough. All right. I don't know how much there is to say about this wildcard draft because it's just the template. Like, the problem is with discussing a wildcard this week when everybody is literally going to the same team is it's like, what's there to talk about that people don't already know? So I locked in this team a couple days ago because I had money for it. I was able to get this team with exact money in the bank, and I was just afraid if any one of these guys rose, I'd be making compromises, seeing as these are most of the main picks that I think everyone's going to have. So there's a chance this changes before the deadline if I come up with some like additional stats. But this is the bones of it, right?
Guru, let's go.
Yeah, dude. I had a night off and was just looking at FB Ref. For those who are informed, it's like the greatest soccer stat website of all time. looks like it's from the 80s, but it's just a bunch of tables, and I'm like, this is my happy place. But anyways, I mean, so Raya, kind of obvious, right? Arsenal is first or second best defense in the league right now, depending on the metric you're looking at. Newcastle being the other main contender, they're just kind of flip-flopping on every stat category. But I mean, these fixtures are great, right? And you're playing Newcastle, who is one of the worst teams for expected goals this season. Like they're like another Palace in the sense that they're so solid defensively, but they're just not putting it together on the front half of the field yet. So like, I'm not even that scared of this Newcastle. And it's like, even if I am scared of this Newcastle, it's like, he's just a better alternative goalie than most.
On that point, really quickly, is Gordon back this week?
Yeah, I guess he's been out for a 3-game suspension.
It might be. I like don't know that for sure. It might be this week. It might be next week. But
so even if he's back, I mean, I guess they have to play. They have to play Voltermaid because Wissa's injured, right? And I think that Wissa's better for the Newcastle team than Voltermaid is. So, like, it's possible that Raya loses the clean sheet, but I think that everybody's going to go to him in the next couple weeks anyways, because after this week, it's, like, amazing. So for the purposes of a wild card, it's like you just got to pick him up now, right?
Is the thought process to go with him as opposed to like, Gabriel and Saliba or something like that? That there's just better defensive picks with DEFCONs?
I just hate going 2 of any defense ever, and that's a little contradictory because I started the season that way, but maybe that's a personal bias, but I really like diversifying my picks and not being so reliant on players, particularly in the defense, where you can get 12 points wiped out because of a handball, like in the event of like the Nottingham Forest first week. Like, it's just that the swing is so large that yes, you would probably get more points over the course of the season if you just held Saliba and Gabriel, but I'm just real nervous about that for a variety of reasons. Tarkowski versus West Ham. He's one of the ones I want to discuss in a little more detail, so I won't get into him too much right now. But I mean, it's West Ham. He's been a monster on the DEFCONs. It's kind of a pick that speaks for itself. Anderson similarly has been a monster on the DEFCONs. Real bad fixtures come up is the only like worry on like why would I hang out with him, because he's got. I mean, is Villa a bad fixture?
Oh, not at all. They're the worst team in the Prem.
But then Bournemouth, Arsenal, and Newcastle. I mean, I know I just talked shit about Newcastle, but that's Newcastle playing against Arsenal caliber defense. It's a little different when they're playing against
that game has 0-0 written all over it too.
All over it. But then you got this like great little run, so it's like I could use him as a little rotational option, right? Like I'm really trying to think about my team as a whole. And he's a 4.5 million defender, so there's a low chance that I want to waste a transfer on him unless some other 4.5 mil stud comes out of the woodwork. And there's just these pockets where I could see him being a really viable option with like a bad game spread throughout all the way up really until like 32. And then it's like, maybe, okay, I should ship him, but who knows where we'll be at that point. Like Senti pick speaks for itself. I mean, the fixture run that Bournemouth is hitting is insane.
Yep.
They're good through 17. Like I'm contemplating, should I have a third Bournemouth player, but I just don't think there's an obvious third pick right now.
I think Diakite could be one. Like I know you said you don't want to double up on the defense, but that could be an interesting sub for Anderson. I think they're the same price.
Yeah, I only see myself playing one of them in any given week if I do have like a Tarkowski and a Gabriel, right?
Yeah. I think one question that I have with Gabriel is, what's the thought process on him over Saliba?
There isn't one. Like I said, it's mostly just been a price thing. How many points or how much does Saliba cost?
Should be 0.1 less.
So yeah, I mean, I'm still on my wild card. I could go to him.
The only reason I say that is, so I think there's an argument to be made either way. One is that Saliba DEFCONs more, and then Gabriel. I mean, I don't know how I feel about him as an attacking threat. Last year, that was like the huge thing at the beginning of the year. He couldn't stop scoring headers, and if you had him, it was euphoria. But we haven't seen that anymore. And Saliba is good for the odd header as well. It could just be that, it's a defender scoring a goal. It doesn't happen all that often. But I don't know if it's like just that their corner tactics have changed. I'm not smart enough to be able to tell that kind of shit. But point being, like, I don't know if I think in theory, the appeal of Gabriel over Saliba would be that he can score more goals. But I don't know if that's still true, one. And two, is that outweighed by Saliba getting DEFCON?
I mean, here's the thing. I'm going to try not to let my deep disdain for the Arsenal Football Club sneak into this discussion too much, but I think I've been on the wrong side of this for like 3 seasons. Like basically since they've signed both of them, every season I've had the wrong one. So if I go Gabriel, go Saliba, problem solved. Saliba was injured for a couple games, right? Beginning of the season?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he got hurt
just
in that
coming back
Liverpool
now.
game.
And that could be something too. Like maybe he re-aggravates something, but
yeah, I mean, it's like, you don't want to have to burn a transfer on that. Gabriel's at 25 points, Saliba's at 18, but Saliba's averaging better minutes per point right now. Gabriel has better attacking stats. Saliba has better assisting stats now. Neither are great.
I think it's really more so a question of just like DEFCONs versus goals. Like, where do you stand on that?
It's like they're just, Gabriel is way up in terms of bonus points, is what I'll say. But I think that the stats I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at the, can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm looking at just sort of like the fantasy football scout thing. Like, I mean, there's center backs. There's not like as many great stats for center backs because it's very hard to quantify.
Yeah, I think part of it, like, I think it really comes down to Saliba has missed time, so he's probably not going to hit the same points totals that Gabriel has. Like, but realistically, like, we know who these players are. We don't need to look at their season stats so far. Like, they're similar players. Gabriel potentially has more of the goal threat, and then what we've seen so far from Saliba is that he gets DEFCONs. The one time that Gabriel got DEFCONs, it's when Saliba wasn't there.
Yeah, and no, I think it's a fair point though, because if you're gonna pick one, it might they're both gonna play when fit. So maybe you should go on the player that gets more DEFCONs, because if one cleans, the other's gonna clean. Yeah. And if Calafiori and Timber are scoring all the headers, then it's like maybe Saliba is the play. And maybe honestly, I just end up needing that 0.1 mil for a transfer that's to be determined. And that's just the play. Yeah. So
hey, this is for you to figure out. I think Sharp and I both have Gabriel already. So
I was gonna say my wildcard team's probably gonna flip to Saliba.
That wasn't in my head at all. Thanks, asshole. Now I have to think through that in extensive detail.
So, well, I think the other thing that seeing this, like to your point, this is the same thing we're seeing across the board. I think it's a good wild card. Don't get it twisted, but it's nothing new. The other question I have is, especially as a Spurs fan, no Spurs. Because I mean, they just have a dream run over the next like 4. It does run out. So you're booking in a transfer by bringing in one of those guys potentially. But someone like a Kudus, someone like a Xavi, even maybe a Spurs defender like a Xavi or a Van de Ven.
Let's talk about that in a sec, because I have some points I want to segue that into. I have this other draft over here. I lied. There's 2 drafts. But I'm going to discuss some differential picks mostly in that. Like I said, this was just the team that I locked in because I had money to do it. Semenyo speaks for himself. We've already kind of covered him. Same with Reindeer and Holland. I'm not really going to go into them too much. I feel like João Pedro, everybody has. Fernandez, I mean, I've been kind of debating, like, do I want to go Mbeumo because his attack numbers are better? And Fernandez has scored he's hauled a couple times, but how many goals has he scored? Like
this, I was actually looking forward to this from your perspective as someone who's owned him, of like, is it an enjoyable experience? I think I know the answer, but
it's not. I don't know if you think it is. And like the fixtures are good, but I mean, so his goal against Chelsea was a 10-man pen, right? So a little inflated.
He's gotten 3 pens.
He's
like
gotten
that's insane.
3 pens, and so he's actually scored a legit goal against Burnley. But I mean, look at the XG versus Arsenal. That's expected. Fulham also a great defense and actually surprisingly high XG. But then, like, I mean, it's hard fixtures. It's objectively a challenging run defensively, and so they're getting significantly better. It's just that they're also getting better for Mbeumo, and Mbumo's a half mil cheaper, but he's not on pens. So it's a debate. It's a debate I'm really tossing around in my head.
The other bit of it that's worth noting is that Cunha's been out. And so like we've seen him in a little bit more of attacking positions without Cunha. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious to see how these guys look. Like I can't figure it out with Bruno. I'm like, what is his position? What is his appeal? But it just feels like he keeps ticking along in points. So I should just get him. Like and everybody's getting him on wild card.
We've had this discussion for like 4 seasons, and it's just like I hate having him in my team. Like,
that's the thing. I don't want him. I want Mbeumo. And so that's the problem. But the last time I picked with my gut, I picked Cunha. So I'm trying to sit here this time and be a little bit more statistically objective and look at somebody and say, they're returning points, Luke.
But if you want to be statistically objective, I think I think Bumo has better numbers. Here's the thing:
he has better underlying attacking numbers, but he gets no DEFCON and no penalties. So I think that evens out.
Right. And the thing is about United that I want to be clear on is that we're about to enter this period of like heavy fixture congestion, and they don't have Europe.
Right.
So they're like chilling. And are they out of the FA Cup because of the Grimsby loss?
That was
Carabao Cup.
That the FA? I think that was a different cup. Yeah,
EFL
I don't
Cup.
know. I get them so confused. There's like 6 of them, but I don't think that was FA.
It just confuses me when they start playing qualifiers around the same time, and like
Yeah.
I think it's the Carabao Cup. But so I mean that's one less competition. So now they're in 2 competitions, right? They're just in the Prem in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And so regardless, I think it's solid to have a United player because they have the second highest XG as a team against what we've already said are really solid defenses. So everyone's laughing, everyone's praising Manchester City for having the exact same amount of points as Man United, and Man United have had a terrible run of fixtures.
Yeah,
I would, as the resident Bumo owner here, point out that he's not a $500,000 cheaper; he's a full mil cheaper. So you're going down to $8 million. I think you could not fix. There's nothing wrong with your back line, but you could take your Anderson up to someone if you really wanted to, or move that around with that full mil. Because I don't think there's a lot of attackers that we necessarily want to do. Or you could pocket that and see what you want to do with it.
So,
his only goals have been pins. The 2 goals were 2 pins, and he missed a third.
Like, yeah, no, valid,
he hasn't scored from open play.
I thought about that, but neither is Bumo. He scored 1.
He scored 1. Unfortunately, he is struggling to put the ball in the back of the net, as you've touched on.
But he's the biggest underperformer. Like he was the one who got tackled by Sanchez. Like he's gonna score. It's gonna happen.
He's a good player. Like there's players that underperform, like Darwin Núñez, and I'm like, that makes sense. But I actually think Bumo's class. I would have loved Spurs to sign him. So I think he's got to regress to the mean, and sometimes that means positively. So I've really been debating it. The only reservation I have about going to a Bumo is that I don't actually have many places to put the money, because you bring them out, you bring in a Bumo.
I think that's a good other question, and one I wanted to ask for anybody on Wildcard is Saka versus Gyökeres, because you could drop Gyökeres to like a cheap forward and then potentially bring in Saka as well. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. I know the reason that everybody's doing this front line, I get it, is because there's just no alternatives. Like those are the 3 guys who have been returning. That's it. But not to this is fear mongering. But if you, I would hate to be wildcarding now and then figure out that I'm on the wrong side of the Arsenal attacker. Right? I have the wrong guy. I think Gyökeres makes sense, and I have him penciled in because he's the Arsenal number 9. But I'm trying to decide right now whether I think Saka is still a good pick or if he's a bad pick now, right? Like he can't stay healthy. He cannot stay healthy. That's what's been consistent. 1. 2, in theory, he lost penalties to Gyökeres. Yeah. 3, like there's just more alternatives. They have young players who are itching to get into the lineup. Madueke is out, so now he's got potentially more locked minutes. Like I can't decide whether I think I'm going to see the Saka of old and we're going to see him against West Ham score a shit ton, especially like West Ham are really bad against corners. And I'm just imagining Saka just whipping in corners and people scoring off that. The flip side of it is you just get the number 9 and forget about it. So, but I think this is like the Havertz versus Saka of last year, where it kind of to the point of like always picking the wrong thing. It felt like it was hard to determine which one of them was going to score. Yeah. Anyway, again, that is fully fear mongering. I'm just wondering if that's where you can apply the money.
No, I've thought about it. Questions on Saka. We just don't know how good he is, right? Like, look at this fucking loser blinking. I'm kidding. He's injured. Is it the year of the striker? Saka coming back, does that mean he becomes a goal threat, or does that mean he becomes an assist threat and just starts feeding Gyökeres? Like, you could argue that Gyökeres has had a diminished output because one of their best creative players has been out.
Wasn't there, yeah, 100%.
Right.
And now he's got Eze too. Like, they're
Eze,
looking creative,
and the fixtures are swinging. So if they're just feeding everything to a striker, it could be good. But at the same time, Gyökeres has a couple goals against bad teams, and it's like, well, there's bad teams coming up. So the thing is like again, locked in Gyökeres in case the price rises. Saka's down 0.2 mil. Like I can still go to him right now. Again, it's really just a question of like how much money basically do I want to invest in the defense? Because there's not many players who have been scoring offensively that I don't have in this team. They're going to come, they're going to emerge. And it's like, my question is really just, am I leaving myself good pathways to get to them when they come? And like, that's why I'm like, maybe just holding Bruno is fine, because theoretically the success of Mbumo is tied to the success of Bruno, even if they're not getting the same amount of points.
And Bruno's a bank that you can drop.
Or, I mean, I think we touched on, you don't want to necessarily drop a United player. Like, you want to have a United player in there. So do you take Bumo, pocket a mil, use that mil if you figure out you did something wrong since it's game week 6, and let that be a flexibility piece in there?
And you're just saying hold him. It's just, he is unfortunately 8 mil. And so it's like, if I bring him Bumo, I'm still not at Saka.
Put somebody put like Mark Gui in there. Put somebody hella cheap and see what does that work.
Well, you could let's do this the easy way. Let's just see what we have left over after we drop in Saka. 6. So maybe that's an Igor Thiago from Brentford.
Dude, you know who might not be a bad pick? Speaking of Igor's, is Igor Jesus from Nottingham Forest.
Yeah,
like, I know that's crazy to say, but I mean, he's looking solid. He looks like he might fit into that Ange system.
No, I don't think it's terrible.
That could just be a fun, like, you put him on your bench for now, but he could be like a long-term interesting pick.
I mean, I am a proponent. It's just that the Forest fixtures aren't good, so I'm not incentivized to spend the money on a Forest.
Yeah, but in theory, you're not playing him. Like, he's just a bench player. Like, because you can start this midfield every week.
No, I agree. It's a good point. Like Thiago got a brace, I think, today as well.
Yeah.
And he's on pens, so that could be exciting. But again, like, not the greatest fixtures, but you're benching him. You could just play him for the odd rotation option. You'll play him against the West Ham. So, like, it's a credible theory. But again, it's just like, all right, now I have 0.6. Do I
think you can leave 0.6 in the bank, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, if that's the word. You can bring a defender up. You can leave it in.
How much is Van de Ven?
Van de Ven's 4.7 right now. So I could bring him in for sure. Like, there's so many options, and the problem is I think they're all good. Let's one person I want to cover who's in this team real quickly is Caicedo, and I just want to be clear that he's in my team not remotely because of the attacking goal against Brentford. It's just that the floor is so high. I mean, he's getting DEFCONs in everything in Chelsea, every game, and Chelsea is one of the best defenses in the game.
And their fixtures are great.
And their fixtures are great. And so, in terms of a rotational option on the odd game, like when Semenyo has a bad game against, let's say, like City in, what was that, in 10, then maybe it's like, all right, then I drop in Caicedo against Spurs or something, where even if he gets scored on, he's getting 4 points, whereas Semenyo might not get any.
Personally, if I was going for a DEFCON mid, I think I would still go Anderson. But I understand the thought process of going Caicedo, and I think you're splitting hairs between the two.
I've lived the Ange experience, and they're just gonna get scored on so much. And I really wonder how many DEFCONs, like, you could argue that Spurs didn't have a great 6 last year, like a great CDM, to get a ton of DEFCONs. And so it's unfair when you look at those post-dated DEFCON stats for Spurs to say that Ange Ball doesn't get DEFCONs, but it's like, I don't actually think Ange Ball is going to get many DEFCONs. But then maybe Anderson's going to be forced to just sweep everything up because they're going to be so open, and that'll get him the DEFCONs. So, like,
I mean, so far, including the game today, he's gotten DEFCONs every game under Ange. That could change, but I think the reason why I would go Anderson over Caicedo is because of the attacking threat more. Like, I see Anderson more involved going forward than I would a Caicedo. I think it's splitting hairs, and I think realistically, talking about your wildcard draft and getting into the 5.5 DEFCON mid is like tomato. That's not, but you're not going to look
have to, though, because those are the only guys who are scoring, and you're incentivized to get the right 5.
But if they're both getting DEFCONs, then
yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. It's just you're incentivized to get the right one so as to not have to burn an important transfer later, right?
Yeah, like, I guess I don't think you probably would burn a transfer on that guy, right? That guy's going to sit there all season for you, pretty much.
Yeah, it's so the other factor that factored into me bringing him in, it's a little redundant, it's just the Chelsea fixtures, right? Yeah. So if he's a 5.6 mil player, I was always, even if I didn't have to wildcard, going to be on an exodus of the Flores players at this time right now. And so I just don't, I just don't necessarily want to bring in a player who I know has bad fixtures when his floor is just DEFCONs. It's like maybe I can get a random bonus clean sheet from Caicedo as well.
Yeah.
So all right, that's the template team. Let's talk some differentials. So I was looking at, I don't think like I would go with this team, but I was looking at just like differentials and other players to consider. This is a little bit of a draft with like a Saka and a Gyökeres and an Arsenal defender. The problem is that it doesn't have Raya because you can't have 4 Arsenal players, but that's a sacrifice you're going to have to make if you want to have Saka and Gyökeres, because I'm assuming everybody's going to have an Arsenal defender, right? So I really think one of the underrated parts about the Saka Gyökeres draft is that you got to compromise on one Arsenal defender. I'm really high on Dan Burn. I think that's a great place to spend some money. He has gotten DEFCONs in most of the games. Like, it's not been every game. Clearly against like those bad teams, he's not getting DEFCONs. But the Newcastle defense has been on fire. And I'm wondering if he's just a good punt pick that I don't have to play this week, because as we discussed, I could play Gabriel against Newcastle, who haven't been able to put it together. And then his fixtures turn and they're just amazing through like 23. But I don't necessarily need to jump on it that high. I'm looking at Pope for the same reason. But I think if you look at the fixtures, the Raya fixtures are just objectively better over like the next 6 to 8 when I'm really going to need to consider, because I'll theoretically have more transfers or a different meta by 12, 13. So I don't know. Pope's an option. I'm really coming around to the Newcastle defense, but I just don't know if I'll shoehorn in Pope, but it's an option. And then Kudus. Kudus is the other guy I'm looking at a lot, because Ndai has better goal threat. Kudus has better...
I thought Kudus looked great last weekend, though.
Yeah, Kudus has better assist threat. With Xavi Simons coming in, I think Kudus might be like a better player. And, like,
do you think that Xavi Simons coming in makes him a minutes risk? That's my question. Is like,
no,
are they both going to play?
Yeah, I mean, Kudus has played every game. They're playing Brennan Johnson on the left. Xavi Simons might be a minutes risk because our defense has been full of our midfield's been full of young studs. But like, I mean, he could go back to Brennan Johnson on the right side because that's Brennan Johnson's natural position. But I just think Kudus has been amazing. So Frank doesn't have much of a reason to sub him, barring the random rotation. And the fixtures for Spurs are way better than the Everton fixtures. And that's why I find it interesting that people are jumping on Tarkowski, because it's like, yes, I know he's gotten 8 points, but then he got 3 versus Wolves. And it's like, all right, 8 versus Brighton, that's another clean sheet. But like DEFCON 4, like I understand he's scored a lot. But actually, I'm kind of wondering what I was smoking, because the fixtures aren't that bad at all.
No, Everton has good fixtures. You had Ndai open. You canceled him out for Kudos.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, I've been debating, do I need Tarkowski? Like, is there another option? Could I get rid of a Tarkowski, bring in a Dan Burn, sit on him for a couple weeks, and then just use him as a rotation option, because he's going to be a good long hold, I think. So those are the differentials I'm mostly considering. People to look at are Saka, I don't know, like a Bruno and a Mbumo, maybe not a Tarkowski, maybe a Dan Burn.
What a wild world we live in, where Dan Burn's the differential we're talking about.
Dude, I would love to see, honestly, Newcastle's attack put it together, whether it be Walter Maidwissa, whoever that is, the right guy that's up there. I think that is some attack to monitor and see if he could be someone that screws with the template.
I think they're going to click. I really do. I fully expect us to be talking about Newcastle more in a couple weeks. It's just once Wissa is back, he's healthy, they establish a healthier rotation. I talked to my friend today, he's a Newcastle expert. His name is Connor, and he kind of gave me the rundown on like the stats and stuff like that for just the team as a whole. And it's kind of what everyone already knows. They're not generating a ton offensively, but Gordon's been out. They don't have, they haven't really had their striker and their main creative player at the same time. And then they've had relatively challenging fixtures, which they've done great in defensively.
That is a thing on wildcards that I'm kind of confused about, is like, maybe it's just because their fixture isn't good this week, but Newcastle long term look really good. Like I'd be inclined to go with an Anthony Gordon,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about a Gordon necessarily, because it's like, how do you fit him in? Like, if we just go back to my base draft,
Semenyo for me.
yeah, but Semenyo's
You are so blinded by hate. It's unbelievable.
the fixtures for Semenyo are amazing.
No, Luke is just a biased, angry
yeah.
man.
He hates Semenyo. But let's say like we go Gordon, he's 7'5", 7'4". Yeah, he's lost a little value. Then I gotta scrounge up a mil. So maybe then it's the triple Newcastle.
No. Wait, go back.
What are you thinking?
It's Bruno. You literally have 0.9 down to Bumo.
You're saying just go direct and then capitalize on both. I actually love that. It's better.
Come on.
I think that you're raising the floor of both players because Everton have been good. Like I was looking at the stats, and yes, Ndai is overperforming, but good players overperform. But I just don't know how much I expect Everton to keep this up. And maybe they're the New Forest, and I'm like an idiot in 10 game weeks because they're still doing it. And I'm like, oh my god, Ndai costs 7 million. I'm so stupid.
But you can drop to Ndai. That's the beauty of having these more expensive picks. It's like, okay, Ndai's popping up, just get Ndai. But I think the tough part is like the reason why people are going for him just right now off the bat is because it's West Ham. And everyone's just like, let's feast.
Yeah, and it's like, who do I play this week if I do bring in Gordon? So then I'm playing Holland, Pedro.
4-4-3 or 3-4-3.
I mean, yes, those are actually pretty solid.
I mean, that's the beauty of a wild card. Like your defense is so deep. It doesn't like.
Well, so that's the other reason I've been asking like myself, do I need a Tarkowski? Because it's like if he's on Everton and he's kind of expensive, and I'm not guaranteed to start him every week because he's on Everton, am I better just taking that $500,000 somewhere else? Like, let's look at theoretically if I go Van de Ven, capitalize on the good fixtures. It's a bummer. Kudus is still expensive. Like, I don't even know who would be affordable right now. You kind of just get into the same like pit of 5.5, 5.6 mil defenders. I could go Anderson or just keep Caicedo and bank the money. But I feel like there's like a little differential team that is like out there somewhere. But it's like, is it stupid to go a differential team on wildcard when everybody's going to the same wildcard? I think the only reason I'm overthinking this so much is because I'm morally opposed to following the masses. Like,
so did you like? I know I'm sure you put this draft together, but what kept you from the Salah Holland draft?
It's just so hard to get Salah in Holland and like have a team where I don't feel like I'm sacrificing in large ways because, all right, so we got Salah. How are we affording him? So maybe Van de Ven. Like I've seen some drafts that force in Holland and Salah, and it's like, I just feel like they're compromising in too many positions at the same time. Like I've already dropped out Tarkowski and Gyökeres for what I'm not sure is an upgrade in the aggregate in Van de Ven and Thiago, and I still have to find 1.7 mil. How do I do that? Holland up top solo?
Yeah, you drop João Pedro down to, honestly, Richarlison.
But he's such a minute risk, especially if Solanke comes back, and I still can't afford that. So I'm still 0.7 off. Right. And it's like, I feel like the compromises you need to make in your team are significant, and keep in mind, you can only captain one in a given week. So it's like, yes, I want two premiums, but Salah is, I'm so scared of not having him, right? The second I don't have Holland, I'm terrified. The second I don't have Salah, I'm terrified. So the safety response in me is like, go both, but I just genuinely don't like,
well,
even
I guess what you could, keep him in. Drop Thiago down to Mark Gay,
like someone really cheap.
Yeah,
if you're not
just
gonna play him anyways.
Yeah, put a placeholder in there, and then you switch Richarlison to. You have a mil more. You could bring him back up to João Pedro.
Restore João Pedro.
And now,
I mean, yeah, that's great. I still got Ndai, but like in aggregate, my team hasn't changed that much beyond Tarkowski, who I already said I didn't want. It does capitalize on the Spurs fixtures, which are good.
I think going with any of the wildcard options you've shown us would work. But if you really are seeking the differential, go against the masses, this would be it.
I'm not necessarily seeking to go against the masses. I just hate going with the masses. But it's like, you got to plug this team in and then look at it for like the next 6 game weeks too. It's like, what am I gaining? What
that's
am I
the crazy part. Not the next 6, the next like 20.
Yeah, it's like, is there going to be a point in time where if I'm tied up in Salah and Hala, like, God, I cannot
Salala.
Salala. Yeah, if I'm tied up in Salala, it's hard to move to players that come to the forefront, and we're banking on a lot of performance on cheap players, right? So if for some reason like Xavi Simmons starts popping off, I don't have a good route to him. There's no one that I like. Then I'm sacrificing like a Semenyo or a João Pedro, and maybe that's fine in a couple weeks, but it's not a good enough hold necessarily for Salah right now. But he is Mo Salah, and it's like I hate it. I've thought about it a lot. I hate not having both. Salah is doing well this season, even if we're not that convinced in the numbers. And I agreed with your take that Salah looked better this weekend, Luke.
I think on the whole he's looked pretty bad, but he looked good this weekend.
He looked good this weekend, but it's like
So
a
it's
one
just
versus four. So
Sharp, you can't you can't disagree with it. You just can't. Half the games he's barely touching the ball. Like, you know what I mean? Like he hasn't looked like his normal self.
Has he returned?
Yes, he has returned.
Okay. Good talk.
Then keep him. What are we talking about? Then keep him.
I mean, that's why I'm not wildcarding now, and I will bring him back in 8. So I will be without him for 2 weeks. It's going to be the saddest 2 weeks of my season. Don't get me wrong. Tears will be shed during Liverpool games when I see him score an assist.
I think that last week was really encouraging. Truthfully, like it looked like it's Wirtz. Getting Wirtz out was the solution because suddenly it was Salah's back. Shit.
I'm not saying I said it, but
you said it. Absolutely, you said it. I think that's the thing, though. Like, to your point of, are they going to get rid of Wirtz? Are they going to not play him? That's the question. Is like, and I think this is a worthwhile thought process with the whole wild card, when to bring players in, all that kind of stuff, is because I feel like last week was the first time I've been like, oh, there he is. There's Salah. Like, he's back. And I don't know if that's a trend or a one-off. And so
Salah is more likely to be a trend, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. Which is why same boat as you, Sharp. My plan is to get him in either 8 or 9.
I could keep defending Salah. I'll let it go. I do think even when you guys are saying he looks bad, he still has more than one moment a game where he decides to be Salah and take a guy one-on-one and cut inside on him, and it's gorgeous.
And he puts him away. He's Salah. That's the thing.
But either way, I do think it's going to take another little bit of adjustment here with Isak coming in. Obviously, that's new. So let's see how those guys actually mesh together. When Isak scored in this game, it was with the backups. So it's not like they've had a ton of time together. So I'm excited to see what that happens. And I'm hoping these 2 game weeks actually give me some clarity on that to see which one is going to be the one that actually puts him away. If Salah's going to be feeding for some reason and scoring less and Isak's just putting them all in, then maybe you go there and don't even need Salah. So hopefully I get a little clarity in the next 2.
Are you're not doing it? Is there any additional transfers that could come your way before the deadline
this week?
Yeah.
I can't justify them knowing that I could simply wildcard. So it's that 2-week thing. So right now, no, I don't think so. I think that's a solid team to field right now.
I agree. I was just wondering, like, in press conferences, but I don't think any of these guys are really a risk, so you're probably fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think how I tend to play is going for maybe less exciting, consistent players with low floors that are going to play the game. Whether they're going to return all the time is a question mark, but they're going to be in the game. So
I feel like I still don't know what to do, but I do feel a little bit cured of the I think just talking it through with you guys has given me the perspective of, all right, like, chill out. You don't need a wild card right now. So I think I'm a little cured of the wild card 6, but I long term am still a little lost.
I'm also like a little lost. I'm so scared of.
I can tell you're spiraling a bit.
I've been looking.
You're deep in the wild card drafts. You're in the mud.
No, I'm deep in the possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hate the template team. I'm just looking. The game is won by capitalizing on the guys who are going to pop off early, like before everybody has them, right? Like, if you're constantly in reaction mode, it's like tough. And that's why I didn't mind wildcarding this week, is because I'm like at a base level of guys who have at least demonstrated some sort of consistency in the opening part of the season, which is going to change, but hopefully then I'm looking with like a smaller subset of moves. But it's like, if I look at guys who I think are going to start popping off, Salah is one of them. Like,
but I think if there was a time, like, this is where, if there was a time to take him on it is right now. It's for the next couple weeks. And you're wildcarding with 2 free transfers, so you can get him in if you really want to in 8. I think, like, tentatively, I've had penciled in for a while Haaland to Salah in 8, and I don't think that's a bad, like, pencil in to have, just because I mean, you could keep him in 8 as well, because he's Haaland's playing Everton, but that little run there of 8, 9, 10 for Salah looks really nice, and it looks like, you know, it's going to continue as well. So it's interesting. Again, this is where the wild card thing, like, then you have to kind of think of the long term. Do you want both of them? Do you want one of them? That whole thing. But yeah, I don't think you have to go without him for long if you don't want to.
No, it's truly just a question of, like, who am I sacrificing to keep him right now? Because the pro, you have Mo Salah. He's probably going to get more points than Bruno Fernandes, even with the great run. The con is you're sacrificing coverage on a lot of great teams and fixtures, and you're very reliant on a very cheap team. But if that ends up being the meta anyways, it's like, fine. So wildcards are stupid. I hate them. I'm now not having fun. I was feeling very good before this. Thank you for putting all these insidious ideas in my head.
That's the thing that, like, that I think that's where I've been all day today, is where you're at right now, of this, like, really sitting in it and really starting to look through all the possibilities and making yourself sick with all the different possibilities. And that is what a wild card is. I mean, Sharp and I did it for a whole podcast with free hits, and that shit resets after a week. So yeah, wild cards seem fun, but they, you know, you can make yourself a little crazy. I think at the end of the day, all the ones you showed us were good. And if you went with the absolute template one, to your point, like, I know this is the thread that you posted on Twitter, and I agree with it, is like, you're setting yourself up with the picks that everyone else is going to have, and then you can be aggressive after that. You can take the safe wild card, and that still works. So
yeah, if, like, we're just talking about games, like, I guess the idea of the game state, like, is just that if I wild card now, I am, first of all, we already talked about the holes that I had to fix, right? And it's not like I have a choice to wild card, but, you know, if we wild card now, then we're hopefully looking at capitalizing on those picks that emerge, whether it's Salah, whether it's Gordon, whether it's Burn, and I can distribute my funds accordingly.
Yeah, the flip side of the argument is, if you save the wild card, you can
just have more information later. But
yeah, capitalize on them a different time. But I think either way works. Like, it's not like there's one right strategy every year. You'll see the players that are littered through the top 10K that all went completely different strategies, used chips at different times. Started with Haaland and Salah, started with one or the other, started with neither. Like,
yeah, the most important strategy is your strategy at the end of the day, right? It's like just doing what works for your team, because I haven't free hitted, I haven't bench boosted, right. I haven't triple captained. I can do none of those this week. And so if I can set myself up for, like, a differential week for those, that works out really well.
Yeah.
Like, the other thing I was considering is maybe I build a good enough team to bench boost in 8.
I mean, that was something I was going to ask you, but I didn't want to add more stress to the fire. But I do think, like, I think the bench boost thing, I know we were talking about what's the most powerful chip. I think you're going from, at its baseline, you have 8 points from 4 starters. And at the max, you get a couple of cleans and it's just like, it's not, I find it as more of a headache than it's worth. I'd rather
because look how you played it this year.
No, and it wasn't great. Like,
that was my point.
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, but that's okay. I don't think that that's going to be all that different from when, let's say, the masses play at an 8. I don't think it's going to be like they're going to get a 30-point bench boost. I think it'll be a 18-point bench boost, and mine was a 13 or what have you. It's like, it's okay.
I think that's so fair. And I think, Mac, the way you have it built right now, I know it's the template team, but I think the way it's built right now is built to be able to bench boost, in that you don't have a player that you don't want in there.
That's like, maybe not true, though. I was looking at it.
It might not be 8. It might be a different week. But the point is, I think you have players that you can throw in at various weeks and be confident in, versus taking a Marquis, like the Mukiele, other guys that are super cheap, to be able to get the more expensive players in your starting.
And that would be the argument against the Haaland and Salah version that we were pitching you on too. Is like, correct. If you're trying to bench boost, then you don't want a Mark Gui in your squad.
Yeah.
Or Mark Gugu, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's 100% like, you guys cooked me. I gotta go.
I think you need to rest and reset. Wake up in the morning, look at this team again.
No, don't look at it tomorrow. look at it Friday. Figure it out then.
Straight back on FBref after this. You guys kidding?
God, does Brooke hate us?
For sure.
Yeah. Who do you think you are? I am.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm winning the shit.
All right, I think that probably should wrap us up. We've
Yeah.
been going for 2 hours.
Anyone's still here?
I think we broke Mac, so let's give him a rest. Sharp, I just love your headwear. I wanna see more of it, and I think we will see more of it. So I'm excited about that.
I honestly don't think you're gonna see it again this season.
Wow, I love to hear you say that. I love it when you're wrong.
I just want to see you in a banana boy.
You know, it hasn't come yet. Isn't that crazy? Still haven't seen it.
Well, don't worry, we'll get there next week.
Yeah, well, that will be interesting, right? We've done a free hit week where we've both been, we should beat Mac. Now Mac's going to be on a wild card, and so in theory he should beat us.
Yep.
It's going to be an interesting, but I guess we're probably
I'm kind of wild carding to your teams.
Yeah.
So should I beat you?
The triple captain will be interesting. That'll define all this.
It will be.
Truthfully.
Who are you? Wait. Okay. Good question. I know we were gonna wrap it up, but now who's your vice?
Probably Bruno if I bring in Bruno, or Bumo if I bring in Bumo. Like, I don't know. It's a weird.
Menu versus Leeds.
I don't have him. I'm not gonna get him.
Right, idiot. You're hundreds of points above me on that. But
God, I'm feeling so good for next week.
I genuinely think you're poised for a great week. I mean, I might have a better single week if I get the right players. But also, do I start my Arsenal players? Play Newcastle.
Defensive, yeah. Offensive, no.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
easy. But also, like, it depends on how deep you make your defensive bench. Like, maybe you don't need to. I would, but I don't think you necessarily
that's
need
what
to.
I'm wondering. Is it like worth piling this much money into the defensive bench? Should I just? But there's like nobody to go to in midfield is the problem.
The only teams with better clean sheet odds are City, Everton, Tottenham, and Forest. So
Then who?
Then Arsenal.
This week?
Yes.
Yeah.
But Newcastle have the fourth highest clean sheet odds. No. Wait, this isn't sorted. What is this sorted by?
It is sorted. It's just sorted for the long term. I'm just looking at Gameweek 6 for
I got it.
you.
I
Asked if you
understand.
should start your Arsenal, guys.
No, I understand now.
All right.
All right.
I think that wraps it up. This
Yeah.
has been it's been a long one, but it's some good thoughts out the door. I think that that were much needed. Yeah, we'll catch you guys next time for the next episode of the Three Winks Podcast, powered by StreamYard.
Hey, let's go.
See you guys. And girls.